Alright, I guess we're good to go. I guess you can start talking now. Alright, so what's up, y'all? I am SuperViperT302.
My name is Poto, and I'm gonna help SuperViper with co-commentating this run.
Alright, so let's go ahead and get started with the countdown in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright. So here we go. This is Super Mario Galaxy 2 Any%. So this game is a lot like Super Mario 64 in terms of how to Any% it. You need a specific number of stars in order to be able to beat the game. In this case, you need 70 in order to unlock the final Bowser level, and from there you'll also get a star, so the total ends up being 71. So you're in for a pretty good treat. This is a very entertaining speed game. So we have about a 2.5 minute intro sequence here, so we're just going to start by immediately introducing the main movement tech for this game, which is just long jumps. They're the fastest forms of movement without any special upgrades or anything. And right here we have the Luma, who is going to give us the ability to spin. And spinning pretty much lets you do everything in this game. You can gain more height from jumps, you can hit levers, you can kill enemies, do all sorts of stuff like that. So coming up is the first trick of the run. We'll see if I can get it. Alright, so what I just did there is called a slope boost. Basically, when you land on a slope with a high amount of speed in this game, there's a small window once you do that where you can jump and gain quite a bit of momentum from the slope. And unlike Galaxy 1, you actually can't climb up slopes in this game, but you can get some pretty nice boosts off of them. And we'll be seeing that a couple more times throughout the run. Alright, so pretty generic Mario story part here. Mashing A. Don't worry, we'll get into the action really, really quickly. Alright, so coming up, I could potentially get a text box skip here, but it's frame perfect in 60 frames per second, so there's a good chance I won't get it. And I'm not even gonna really go for it, but since I'm just gonna be mashing A, I might. So on this next set of 4 text boxes, I can skip the 4th text box if I get through these first 2 slowly, and then get the 3rd one frame perfect, but I didn't get it. Again, I wasn't really going for it. More mashing. And now we're going to be entering this launch star, and we're going to be heading off to the first star of the run, Sky Station 1. Unlike Galaxy 1, we just go straight to the first galaxy of the game. And we're going to be heading into the action right off the bat. Like I said, the game's going to get fast-paced really quickly here. So, a little trick here. If I stand still during this Luma cutscene, it ends about half a second earlier, and allows me to enter the launch star a lot quicker. Okay, another thing I want to explain. Right there, you just saw the camera kind of twitch, and that's because I perform what's called a landing animation cancel, where if you go into first-person mode as soon as you land from a launch star and then exit it immediately, then you can cancel the landing animation. Alright, and I just did a trick there called Luma Bounce, where if you do a homing ground pound off that Luma, you can skip its launch star and make it to the planet that it normally takes you, and it saves 10 minutes, or I'm sorry, 1 second. Which in terms of speedrunning, you know, is basically the same thing. There we go. So yeah, backwards momentum is far superior to forwards momentum in this game. So stuff like that can be abused. Here's our first boss of the game, Pee-wee Piranha. So the game intends for you to spin on his shell a couple of times, but we can just ground pound it once and the entire shell is shattered. It's pretty simple. And this second phase is actually a lot easier than the first. There we go. That is our first star of the run out of 71.
Routing this game, you notice that it collected one comet coin in the first stage. Routing this game comes down a lot to just finding what stars you can activate with comet coins and which are faster to do while collecting them. Some comet coins are placed in a very obscure spot in the level, so you rather skip them and ignore the star that comes from it. But a lot of I don't know how many comet coins do you collect in this run. I think it is
It's 32.
32, yeah.
The highest required one is the Gravity Gauntlet Comet, and the thing is, a lot of comets, yes, they are out of the way, but the comet stars for those galaxies are really, really fast, or you just need them to add to the total, and so they're definitely, most of them are worth getting.
Yeah.
And also, as you just saw there's a lot of, like, text and, you know, there's a lot of text and downtime in this game, especially in between stars. So, to go through text quickly, you just hold A. It's really simple. And although getting optimal text is actually a lot harder than it looks, you have to figure out a good rhythm for that. Okay, so right there I was holding down before that cutscene because what I was trying to do is backflip to the helm. When Mario's facing away from the helm after landing on Starship Mario, typically you just want to backflip to it. Usually if Mario is facing the helm, which happens if lava talks to you while on the starship, then what I usually do is I just turn Mario around, and then that will allow me to do a backflip straight to the helm, which barely loses time. Or if you want to be really stupid, you can go for a frame-perfect ground pound out of a long jump onto the helm, but, you know, that's dumb. Gotta keep it
if you are facing the camera, the backflip is the fastest method of getting to the switch.
Alright, so now we're on to Sky Station 2, and this star isn't going to be nearly as flashy as Sky Station 1, but it should still be pretty entertaining. It's still got a lot of tech to it. So, this starting planet, though, here is pretty difficult to do quickly. I gotta get a chomp cycle here. Oh, I barely missed it. Yeah, you can hit this chomp a whole cycle earlier than what I just did there. Saves a few seconds if you can get it. Fortunately, I was just a little off with my aim there. And unfortunately, the standstill to make a launch star cutscene end earlier doesn't really work anywhere else in the game, as far as I know, so you just kind of have to live with it. And this next planet is pretty difficult to do quickly. If one thing goes wrong, then my cycles with these platforms will be thrown off. Right. So I skipped that one up there. It doesn't actually matter if you skip that one up because a text box does appear when you grab your first one up, but there's like two or three one ups that I'm basically going to be forced to get no matter what with the strats I use, so it all ends up working out in the end. Right here, you just kind of have to hit these flip switches to turn them all yellow. And here we have our first appearance of Cosmic Clones. And these guys are terrible. They're not so bad here, but in later stages, they will make backtracking pretty much impossible. So you better not make mistakes. And here we got the final planet, which is pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to grab this checkpoint just to be safe. So, I guess something while I can talk about while I'm here is another way you can actually cancel landing animations in this game, which is doing what's called a jump cancel, which I'm only going to go for at the start of various stars. So, the thing with jump canceling is that you can actually cancel landing animations in any situation, even in situations where you can't move the camera, by simply jumping on a very specific frame when you land. And I'll go for them, but it's frame perfect in 60 frames per second, so I'll probably get at most 5 during this run. I believe I counted and there's a total of 48 jump cancels I go for. Okay. There's also something you can get on certain areas where you can't control the camera, where you can actually enter first person mode on the first frame you land, which I'll go for every now and then. But it's actually less common that I get that. Alright, so now we're heading off to Yoshi Star 1. Yoshi is by far the most broken thing in this game. And
Yoshi is really what separates this from SMG1, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. Yoshi has allows a lot of speed tech, and you'll find out why very shortly. So
also, I can mention one thing that this game is played. Normally, this game is played with New Game Plus. You can sort of say because you have access to the Bank Toad later on in the run. One small technique to save time in this game is actually we try to avoid getting coins, and we try to avoid having any star bits in your inventory when you finish a run. Yeah. Because the text box for the coins and the star bits actually shows up after every level and wastes about half a second each time, so it adds up.
Alright, so I'm gonna go for a skip here. And I got it first try. Alright, so what I just did, there was a glitch called infinite fluttering. In this game, normally you can't start another flutter immediately while doing another flutter because there's a cooldown time. But if you crouch mid-flutter, it cancels both the flutter and the cooldown, so you can immediately begin fluttering again. And you can use it for both gaining distance and gaining height, as you'll see here. And when doing infinite flutters, if you're going to try to gain momentum, the optimal angle you want to be holding is slightly sideways while also holding slightly in the direction of Yoshi's back. Although if you're in the air for longer than 10 seconds, then Yoshi will automatically lose almost all of that speed. So that's actually the reason why I dismounted off of Yoshi at the end. Because if I had waited in the air any longer, I would have lost all my speed. And in addition, when you dismount off of Yoshi in this game, you maintain all of your momentum. So you'll be seeing that abused quite a few times through this run. Although I just want to point out now, if I drop Yoshi in a pit, he doesn't actually die. He'll just turn into an egg once he reaches the death barrier. So I'm not really killing Yoshi or anything because he'll just respawn somewhere else. Alright, next up we've got Yoshi Star 2. So we're gonna perform a pretty big skip here with infinite fluttering. So the way this star is supposed to work is you're supposed to go through all these planets, hit switches, not hit switches. You're supposed to throw spinies at these glass containers and enter launch stars and stuff. But you know what? As soon as I get on Yoshi, I'm just gonna go straight to the boss planet because I don't want to do any of that. That's lame. And this infinite flutter is actually a little tricky because there's a camera turn midway through, so you have to be really conscious of what angles you hold. That went well. There you go. So that skips basically the entire level, and now we're already at the boss fight, which has some interesting tech to it as well, and is also pointer-based, so hopefully my sensor bar doesn't mess up on me. Alright, so here's a funny little glitch you can do. If you uncrouch and spin on the same frame, which I'm going to try to get here, then you can get Yoshi to enter this sliding state. It is completely useless, but it just looks cool. Since I have downtime, I might as well show that off. I'm going to go for a cycle skip here. I'm going to hit both of these spinies once, get one in Yoshi's mouth, fire it a Giga-like Pikachu, and then get the second in Yoshi's mouth before the first one makes contact. And now I have this spiny in my mouth when I shouldn't. So what I'm going to be able to do is as soon as this third phase starts, I can just get him in position, fire the spiny, and I won't have to wait for him to shoot out any more spinies. Which saves a little bit of time.
Nice Yoshi slide.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, when we say that Yoshi is the most broken thing in this game,
he really
we're not joking. Pretty much every time you use Yoshi in a level, that level is shortened by almost the entire level. You skip platforms and planets everywhere. Also, every time you use Yoshi, one technique for the fluttering is actually doing a head shake, because the head shake actually accelerates Yoshi faster. and can give you a little bit more of distance, and that's very crucial in some places, and is pretty much make it or break it.
Yeah, although there are some
That's a really
instances
good
where I
technique,
don't
and-
shake. For instance, whenever I side flip to start infinite fluttering, I'll typically not shake, because when you side flip and start infinite fluttering, you gain a lot more height. Anyway, so here's Spin Dig. This is where we're introduced to the first of Mario's main power-ups, the Spin Drill, except we're not going to actually be using the Spin Drill everywhere, because one thing Nintendo forgot about this game when they were making it is that Mario can jump, and so there's a lot of skips where, like, for instance, right there, you're supposed to use the Spin Drill, but you can just triple jump straight up to the Luma. That works just as well.
I think Nintendo forgets that in a lot of games, honestly.
Definitely. Anyway, I'm going to go for a homing ground pound off that Spin Drill. So what a homing ground pound is if you do a spin followed by a ground pound, you'll home in on the nearest item, enemy, or NPC, and that's what I actually did for Luma Bounce on Sky Station 1, and so that can save me a little time. And right here, I whip into the corner of that pillar by jumping backwards against it, which saves a few seconds of walking. And now I'm already here. This planet's kind of hilarious, because casually you probably don't know what you're doing here, because you're supposed to actually wait here for the Luma to show up. Right. Now, earlier we did mention that you're supposed to avoid star bits in this run so that you can get no text boxes, but there's some things we can use star bits for. Like, for instance, I'm going to use them to do a skip here. Yeah, Toad wanted to talk to me, but no, I don't want to talk to Toad. He's annoying, so we're just going to shoot him in the face. That works, too.
That's actually one instance where you can do a frame perfect jump away, but I mean, in theory, a frame perfect jump saves time. But as Viper told you, this game is 60 frames per second, so I mean, it's very. You shouldn't really go for a frame perfect jump on that Toad unless you're trying to IL the level.
Alright, so here is an instance of RNG, and I got good RNG there. Dig-a-Leg can jump one of two ways on this fight whenever I'm pressing up against him. I want him to actually jump on top of me like he did there, because that'll make him move to the other side of the battlefield and immediately start his attack where he becomes vulnerable. So hopefully I get a good one here. I also want to keep these yellow enemies alive because... Okay, I didn't get good RNG there, but he can jump back on top of me. Oh, or do that. That works too. So I don't know what happened there. For some reason, he jumped against me, and he should have landed on top of me, but didn't. And he kind of clipped me to the side, and then he just immediately became vulnerable. I don't know if that's like a cycle cancel or anything, but that's happened a couple times. I don't think it really matters. And instead of walking to the star, we're just going to drill to it.
Yeah, basically you want to keep the drill enemies alive because Dig-a-Leg will try to have two of his children, I would say,
Yeah.
on the stage. And if you kill them, he will spawn two more. If you do not kill them, and if they are alive, the end cycle will begin sooner.
Mm-hmm.
But one annoying part about that boss fight is that actually Dig-a-Leg often can kill his own.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I believe my gold for that split missed the Toad tech skip, but it got a perfect Dig-a-Leg, so that's why it didn't fail miserably.
So there also is a technique for that boss where you can side flip on top. I'm not very too sure because this was discovered right after I stopped running this, but you can pretty much side flip on top of him somehow and make him. It's pretty much instead of getting under him. So it's a way of getting good RNG way easier.
Yeah, and here's Right Side Down 1. This is the level that I like to say Nintendo meant for you to break, because there's a lot of skips in this level, and the thing is, so many of the skips are just because of how they placed objects in this level. First of all, there's this cool backflip at the start here.
This is also a very, very interesting level to speedrun, because there are a lot of small techniques that are really precise, and to run this game, it gets way more interesting to see and play this level, I would say.
Yeah, so like for instance, you're supposed to hit gravity switches, but on that first one I used that item block to skip it, and now here I can use these elevators, which are just conveniently placed right next to where I need to go. And there you go. Nintendo's bad at making games, if you haven't noticed. I think it's 3D platformers, I'd say. So here's Fire Mario. I'm going to do a technique with Fire Mario, whereas I'm making these fireballs, I'm crouching, which cancels the fireball making animation, and allows Mario to kind of make fireballs a bit more quickly. There we go. I'm going to go for another pretty cool skip here that's kind of interesting, and also I think you're actually intended to go up here because there's one-ups in the four corners, but you can also use it to just, you know, just long jump all the way over to the star. And then you have to awkwardly enter the gravity field and shake a couple times to get the star. There you go. So now I'm going to be heading back into that galaxy here in a second, because I'm going to be getting the secret star, or I'm sorry, hidden star. And I can skip the cutscene, the intro-level cutscenes, once I enter the level because I've already seen them. Which is a nice thing about the Galaxy games. There are a lot of cutscenes, but the thing is, if you've already seen a cutscene, you can skip it. This is a very intricate star, in a sense. So I'm going to go for a little momentum jump here, and I didn't get it, unfortunately. If you hold neutral and jump as soon as you land from that flower, you can get a higher jump, and you can actually skip the wall jump that I had to do. But it doesn't save that much time if you get it, so it's not a huge deal. Okay, I just want to warn you, I am really bad at these box minigames. Especially this one. I'm not that bad at the other one, but I'm pretty bad at this one, so I'm going to aim for an 11 on the clock once I end. I think I could get a 12, though. Left, right. Alright, 9's kind of bad, but could have gone worse. There we go. I did not split, so I'll just skip that one. Yeah, if you haven't noticed, there's a lot of downtime in between stars, and usually there's not a whole lot to say. So that's the Bang Toad, and like Patal mentioned earlier, he's very important. He'll be important later on.
Among the Japanese community, it's actually more common that people don't use the Bang Toad. We do separate Bang Toad, like with Bang Toad and without Bang Toad as well. But basically, I mean, all that no Bang Toad, you have to farm star bits and change out, I think, like 1 or 2 stars. So.
Yeah, I have a non-Bang Toad route that doesn't do 2 levels that this route does. Alright, so here's Fluffy Bluff. We're going to be introduced to another power-up here, and that's Cloud Mario, which has its own set of broken physics. Pretty much every power-up in this game has its own set of broken physics.
I would say that Cloud is probably the most unique and broken item in this game, besides Yoshi.
Yeah, definitely. So on this first star, I have to be collecting 100 coins to beat a Hungry Luma, and I nearly missed that first set. If you miss any of these before the timer runs out, then that's bad, because you have to basically abandon this star and do a different star instead.
This is actually a very interesting level, because this shows why Nintendo is actually kind of bad at creating levels meant to be on a specific path, because it's very easy to actually skip this entire level. And I mean, getting to the top level is just getting to the platforms at the end is very easy. Yeah? So it's very interesting that Nintendo doesn't actually realize that this power-up makes that. Or maybe they did, I don't know.
Yeah. It's also funny because this is the first Hungry Luma Galaxy you can do in the game, but it requires the most coins. But it's okay though, because the coins are in like basically 2 separate locations. Alright, so
levels where it's very it definitely shows why you don't pick every Comet coin. The Comet coin in this level is hidden like in one of the places that you skip, and you would never go and get it because the comet for this galaxy is actually a timed challenge. So
Well, it's on the Cosmic Cone planet, which is way out of the way, and we skip that planet because in the next star there's a really big skip we do. Something I should mention, and I'm going to point this out now, I guess, while I'm at it, is whenever there's a clear star on the star select screen, I'm actually pointing my Wii Remote off screen, and that's how I'm able to auto-select those stars, and that only works on clear stars. For stars that are, for yellow stars, I actually have to point at the screen in order to get them.
Yeah.
Dude, I've lost so many like big time saves on Cosmic Cave because I forgot to pick the first star.
Yeah, that will be explained when we get to World 2. Alright, so here's the big skip. If you just go to the top of this cloud and just long jump off here, and then use a couple of clouds, you're able to make it all the way to the final planet of the level. And it's really easy. So there are a couple of things... Okay, I did not mean to go in the water there. Okay, this is not good. So there's a couple things I'm abusing here. First of all, I'm doing this... What is that? I have never been hit by that before. Some interesting things are happening here. Alright. So what I'm doing here is cloud boosting. When you make a cloud and then long jump immediately after making the cloud, if you do the spin when you're on the ground, then the thing with this game is when a platform is moving out from underneath, when a platform is underneath you and it's moving upwards, it actually gives you a bit more height in your jumps, and so that's how I'm able to get those high long jumps. Another thing I was abusing is when I was above that pit, and when you're Cloud Mario and you long jump from the center of a cloud, you kind of gain speed in midair for some reason. You're a lot floatier, I guess.
Momentum is basically what breaks this game. Nintendo is actually, I mean, the engines that Nintendo use for their games is very good at keeping track of momentum, because momentum works very well in most games. I mean, that's the reason why you can do the cloud boost, for example. That's the reason why I can do the Joshi fluttering.
Right, so
momentum is definitely an important aspect of understanding to speed on Super Mario Galaxy 2.
Alright, so we're heading off to Bowser Jr.'s Fire Plateau, which a lot of runners will argue is one of the worst stages in the game, mainly because of the boss fight in this stage. Gobblegut is deemed one of the hardest bosses in this game to do fast. I personally hate this stage more than I hate the boss, just because the movement is really hard to get down. So let's see if there's a specific swamp cycle I need to make here. So I'll try and get it.
The thing with Gobblegut is that it has a lot of different strategies to kill it. I mean, you can use somewhat easy strategies to kill him, but they're always faster, and by faster also trickier.
And there's a big skip you do there just by using gravity. Because the gravity field of that planet is so huge, you can just long jump straight into it, and it's so easy. Alright, so basically the strategy here is the game intends for you to have Gobblegut bury his face into the ground, and then you attack the bellyache bulges from there. But the thing is, you can actually attack the bellyache bulges in midair, and with the strat I do, nothing can go wrong. And if I mess up anything, I can lose them upwards of 20 seconds. So I'm going to try and focus here for at least a couple phases. But this is a really fast boss fight if I get it optimally. Oh, I missed that third hit, but that's okay, because thankfully that's one of the easiest ones to back up. Oh, I just have to have him dig his face in the planet. It's unfortunate I missed that. This second phase is personally my least favorite of the two. I'm going to do a turnaround at a precise moment here. Okay. I don't know what happened there. For some reason, I just couldn't get the hit right away, so I'm probably going to have Gobblegut dig his face into the ground again. Yeah, optimally, I would have gotten that final hit a lot quicker than that. Now I just have to wait for the Elliot Gold to come. Oh, that's bad. I got a point here for some health. There we go. That was very bad. But here's the good part. I get to fight this guy twice. So I'll have another chance to show off what this fight is supposed to look like. But anyways, that's the end of World 1. I guess that was solid overall, aside from Fluffy Buff 1 and the Gobblegut fight. Alright. And after every single world, we're going to have to deal with this, unlocking the next world cutscene. We're going to have to deal with text boxes from Lubba, who's that purple Luma. So I hope you enjoy it, because we're going to be seeing it a lot. So let's see how much time I lost. The nice thing about this game is if you look in the lower right hand corner, you can see an individual level time after every star, which is a good thing to keep track of. So I got a 2:19 there. That's actually around 40 seconds behind what a good run of that stage would be for me. That's okay though. It happens.
The individual level timer is also very good because it makes this game so much more open for IELTS and it's a very if you enjoy speedruns and you want to go for like individual level speedruns or something like that, Super Mario Galaxy 2 is a very good alternative for that. It also has a very good IL community. The IL community has been a little bit inactive lately, but most of the levels are very
impressive.
What's the word for it? Yeah, and optimized.
Shouts to Nemi43, the god of ILs in this game, who is also second place in 90% and was a world record holder for a really long time until Valley 111 came along and basically dominated the Galaxy 1 and 2 leaderboards.
Yeah, and Nemi is actually an interesting guy because he is one of those speedrunners who doesn't show up very often, but then he comes around and he just like breaks the game in parts.
Yep. Anyways, here's Puzzle Plank 1. Aside from having catchy music, this level's pretty straightforward. There's some minor skips you do here and there, like this track here, where I just do a backflip to this launch star. I don't have to go to the bottom of that planet at all. Grab this common metal. I'm gonna go for this triple jump here.
And Puzzle Plank is probably one of my favorite levels, to be honest.
That triple jump can be a little weird sometimes because sometimes you don't get a right amount of momentum from the double jump. Sometimes you have to wall jump, other times you just can't make it at all. Sometimes you get slugged when you land on that board. But the most interesting part of this level by far is definitely the end of it. This final planet is really weird because the thing with these puzzle pieces is that sometimes you can get 2 ground pounds on them in only 1 ground pound. Because the gravity on this planet is fantastic. And by fantastic, I mean really weird. Alright, I didn't get any double ground pounds there, but yeah. You can sometimes just you can pound it twice with just 1 ground pound. And we got a short mini boss fight here, because, yes.
The extra ground pounds on the final stage is all RNG as far as we know. We don't know actually exactly how it works, and that's also one thing that makes this level very annoying to IL, because you can't really control the final parts.
Okay, I think I grabbed a star bit at the very end there, which is going to waste about a second because of the text boxes. There are some instances where you kind of have to collect star bits no matter what. Like, for instance, whenever you're riding Yoshi, you can't actually spit out star bits. So yeah, there you go, that's the text box for star bits. It wastes like a second every time you get it, but as Patel said, seconds do add up. Got a little world map sequence coming up here. This is going to introduce the grand world map to us, which is the fastest way to navigate from one world to another, because otherwise you'd have to basically go through the portals in every world, and that takes a lot of time. This is another one of my favorite levels here. Hightail Falls 1 is probably one of the coolest looking levels to someone starting out with the game, or at least someone who's just checking out runs of the game. This is definitely one of the coolest levels. Worth noting is that I'm going to be collecting star bits during this level because I'm going to be on Yoshi for pretty much the entire star, and as I said earlier, you can't spit off star bits while you're on Yoshi, so might as well just go ahead and collect some. Right. And in this galaxy, we're introduced to the Dash Pepper, which allows Yoshi to go really fast, and also you can climb up slopes, which normally you can't do. I mean, and the effect lasts between launch stars, so I'm going to try to preserve this for as long as I can. Okay, so I'm going to go off the left here because there's a Dash Pepper here I can grab, but this is really hard to do. Ugh, I accidentally hit a wall. That part's really hard to do. But I'll keep going for it because it will save time in the long run. There we go. So I grabbed that Dash Pepper just because, again, I can keep it through the launch star and it'll last on this planet. I'm also going to grab this Dash Pepper late, just to have its effect last even longer. So here's the easiest Infinite Flutter skip in the game. This Infinite Flutter is so easy, you don't actually have to crouch at all during that flutter. You can actually make it with just letting the flutter cooldown run between every flutter. You don't even have to dismount Yoshi. I'm going to shake to grab that Comet Medal just because that turn is really hard to make otherwise. Okay, that was really weird. Okay, I'm just going to do this. So what I was trying to go for there was a cool strat where if you use Dash Yoshi while you're on a slope, and you dismount off of him, you gain a lot of height. It was a really weird attempt, though. It looks really cool if you get it, though. So I'm kind of sad that I didn't get it.
So, if I remember correctly, as we mentioned earlier, when you're on Yoshi and doing infinite fluttering, Yoshi's momentum will stop after about 10 seconds.
Right.
One theory for that, if I'm not mistaken, is that Nintendo has a speed limit around that, because it actually seems to be around the same time in length that the Dash Pepper works. I don't know if there's been any more research on that, but I know Yoshi Fan was a few years ago.
Yeah, also shout out to YoshiFan28, who's done a lot of research on both Galaxy 1 and 2, kind of behind the physics and stuff and whatnot. Okay, so here's Cosmic Hub 1. This is one of the most interesting galaxies in terms of routing, because what I'm going to be doing here is collecting 15 points to beat a Hungry Luma, but what I do after that is kind of interesting. First of all, you can get coins from these enemies. Normally you just get star bits, but if you shoot them with star bits first to kill them, then you can get coins from them. And I'm using a shell for most of this, because the thing with swimming in this game is, unlike Galaxy 1, there's actually a delay in between when you can do spins underwater, so taking the shell and spinning are around the same speed, but you have to do significantly less exercise when you take the shell, so it ends up working out in the end. And also with the shell, you can hop out of the water, and if you hold Z with the shell, as I'm going to do here, you can stop and reorient yourself, which is what I'm going to do here to kind of change my angle.
In theory, frame-perfect spinning is faster than taking the shell, but it's so precise and obscure that you don't even do it in aisles. So.
So I kind of hit the switch to freeze the lake there because of the way everything in this level is placed. It's actually faster to feed this Hungry Luma, but then not go to the planet it unlocks. And instead, I'm just going to go ahead and get Cosmic Hub 1, just because it's literally right. It's literally just a few feet away from me. So I'm just going to head over here and watch him up this waterfall. I'll be doing Cosmic Hub Secret on the next star.
There's actually one glitch that can occur with these waterfalls that makes you unable to climb them. I don't know how it works, but it's really annoying when it happens.
I've seen it happen once.
I've had it happen
a
few of my runs.
I just golded that split. That's awesome. I recently started doing a new route for the coin collecting. Well, I just recently upgraded to the fastest route, I guess, so that's probably why. Alright, so now I'm going to be heading to Cosmic Cove Secret, and like Patel said earlier, this is a star where I actually don't want to auto-select. Because if I do, then I'll select Cosmic Cove 2, and you can't access the area I want to access in Cosmic Cove 2, so I want to select Cosmic Cove 1. It's just a matter of making sure my Wii Remote's on screen. And it's not a huge time loss, I just have to sit through the cutscenes and then exit out of the level.
I think it's like a 20-second or 25-second time loss or something.
Yeah, it's around that. Not probably a run ender,
but it's very annoying when it happens.
Yeah, right.
I actually named my split like look what you're doing or something like that.
Yeah, I just remind in marathons I just remind myself every time to do it by mentioning it in my commentary. Alright, so I'm grabbing star bits on this star for a very specific reason, which you'll see in a little bit. It's also nice because the shell has a light which you can use to kill enemies underwater, which I don't think many other Mario games have. I don't even know if Galaxy 1 is useful for that in that regard. So I'm going to go for a strat here where the game wants you to freeze the lake here in order to catch this bunny, but I'm going to go for a strat that requires stunning it, so I'm going to try to focus here. Got it. Yeah, what I did there is I stunned him with star bits, which for some reason causes him to run the wrong direction, and I can just catch him quicker. Because again, you're supposed to freeze the lake and skate to catch the bunny, but if you stun him with star bits, it's just run over to him and grab him. Oh. And that's actually one of the places where widescreen. I'm playing in this game in 16:9 for two reasons, and one of them is that, and the other reason you'll find out at the very end of the run. I don't want to spoil it.
You can get that with as well, but it's very.
I don't think I've ever pulled it off. I tried. Alright, so here's Boulder Bowl 1. So this is so I'm doing the star number 15 just to kind of route out Starship movement, because there's a lot of events that take place on the Starship depending on what stars you get and how many stars you have. Something's going to happen both when I collect Boulder Bowl 1 and when I collect 15 stars, and I'll explain why I have this as my 15th star. But while I'm in here, there's a skip I'm going to go for in this star that you can do both with and without Rock Mario, and it just skips one planet, but that one planet is really, really annoying, and so I want to avoid it whenever possible. So I need Rock Mario because I need to be able to break that crystal to get the combo. Alright. So I'm going to go for it here. Alright, I got it. First try. I'm gonna go for something dumb here. Alright. I didn't get it, so I'm just not gonna bother talking about it. I'm just gonna pretend I didn't go for anything there. Yeah, I actually have a visual cue for that skip, where I look for a certain star, and as soon as it goes off the top of the screen, that's when I spin. So yeah. That just skips that one planet because you have to kill a lot of enemies on that planet, and no one wants to do that. So that skip is a lot more efficient. And this is Rolodilla, who's by far the most awkward boss in this game in terms of doing it fast.
Oh.
So what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going behind him because if I let him see me, he'll do this like rolling attack that wastes a few seconds. But if I don't let him see me, then he can just do this. But it's really difficult because you're trying to chase him while he's trying to chase you. And so that can make it very awkward. You also can hit him in only one roll, but it's really difficult and requires you to have very specific positioning and whatnot. But as long as he doesn't, as long as he doesn't see you, you're fine. Like, you're not going to be losing that much time. So here's where the interesting routing comes into play. So, because I collected Boulder Bowl 1, I'm going to be taken down to the engine room to unlock Rock Mario. By the way, in the engine room, you can't use any of these power-ups. You're just allowed to look at them and gloat about them. But when I get 15 stars, I get a letter from the Mail Toad. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to be brought down to the engine room to get Rock Mario, and then immediately be warped straight to the Mail Toad. to get this letter, which just saves a few seconds of Starship Mario movement. And also places me right next to the bank toad. If I don't talk to the male toad first. I thought I was close enough. Anyway, here we go. Alright, so yeah, this is kind of the New Game Plus thing that Patal was talking about, where I'm going to be collecting star bits, and these are star bits from another file, but it's allowed to do this. We'll need about that many. That's actually less than what I want, but I can get star bits in another level if I have to. So I use these star bits to unlock Hungry Luma Galaxies. Now you might be asking, well, why are you unlocking Hungry Luma Galaxies? Doesn't it take time to unlock them when there's plenty of other stars you can get? But the nice thing is, a lot of these Hungry Luma Galaxies actually have really, really fast stars. And so most of them are out of the way, or worth going out of the way to unlock. Like, for instance, this star is literally going to take, if done optimally, 16 seconds in game time. And yeah, this is one of those galaxies where it's just like, oh, you get to use B Mario, except, no, we're not using B Mario, he's way too slow. We're not going to ever use B Mario in this game.
Instead, we're gonna wall jump, bounce, we're gonna long jump, bounce, wall kick, spin, cling, release, wall kick, spin, wall kick, spin, wall kick, wall kick, wall kick, wall kick, wall kick, long jump, and we're up.
Yeah, it's just this. We're already done. Easy star.
The fastest normal star in the game.
Definitely. We say normal star because after you collect 120 stars and then beat Bowser, you unlock the 120 green stars, and most of those stars, there's a lot of stars that take like seconds. Whereas most of these stars, the average I'd say is about a minute and a half. Here's another overlapping event, although this one isn't nearly as significant. You get that sign when you get 16 stars. And you get this B when you get Honey Bloom Secret. So I'm going to be heading off to the first Bowser stage of the run. This Bowser stage is one of the more interesting ones, because there aren't that many... There isn't really a big skip in this stage, but there's a lot of tiny things that just sort of add up. And it's a cool stage, in my opinion, because of that.
I would say it's also a very difficult stage to do optimal.
Yeah, I'm gonna be doing quite a bit of lava boosting in this stage, and I'm gonna be midway through the stage. I'm gonna be grabbing this item called the Super Mushroom, which gives you 3 extra HP. Once I grab it, I can't go below 4 HP, otherwise I'll lose it. And there's a skip I need to do at the end of the stage that requires 4 HP. So yeah, you're supposed to kill that magic Koopa, but why do that when you can just, launch it? Okay, I've never hit a flame from there before, but I'm really lucky that I didn't die there. And also I can skip the spring just by side-flipping into this planet's gravity, and then doing a few circles. Yeah, there's an interesting thing about this game where sometimes you're just holding one direction and Mario just goes in circles. You've probably seen that a couple times. Alright, so at this point I cannot go below 4 HP until the end of the stage. And there's this lava beast here that that may or may not screw me over. And you do this to skip a fight with a hammer bro over there. And there's a variety of ways you can get this comet medal. I'm going to choose to do it this way, just because it's safe and consistent. There's a method where you can do called lava storage, where you double jump into the lava, and then once you land on ground, you can enter a triple jump state. Alright, so I'm going to do the big skip here. This is going to allow me to basically skip a bunch of auto-scrollers at the end of a couple snake blocks. And the mechanic behind this is actually kind of interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to land on this first statue, bounce on it, land in the lava. Now I'm immediately able to begin long jumping across these statues. Because the way that works is when Mario lands in lava and then bounces on the ground after landing, he does this kind of short hop, and then once he lands from the short hop, he's immediately able to begin long jumping again. However, that state actually gets conserved between lava bounces. And so you can use that to basically begin moving again once you land on the statues. And there we go. That was a decent lava layer aside from those weird incidents at the start of the stage. I don't know what happened there. As long as you don't die, you're pretty good to go. Anyway, so here's Bowser, the big man himself. So, Bowser fights in this game aren't really that interesting. Basically, Bowser slams his fist into the ground, then he pulls it out, and then there's meteors that fall onto the planet. And once he slams his fist into the ground, you have to hit him with the meteors, and you have to do this a total of 4 times. It gets a bit more interesting in some of the later stages, but this Bowser fight is pretty generic. So for now, if there's like donations to read, or if there's something you want to plug or something, now's a good time to do it. I try to do these hits kind of optimally, where I try to have Bowser punch as close to them as he can, and then I try to have the least amount of distance travel between the meteor to Bowser. So those first 2 hits were kind of bad because I wasn't in a good spot. It's possible for Bowser to punch out the meteors, so that's why I kind of have to be a little careful. On these phases, I have to keep track of where Bowser's fire attack ends, because that's where he's going to start aiming his next punch. And if I'm where Bowser's going to start punching, then he'll punch right away. That was not a good distance hit, but I was in the right spot at the right time. By the way, don't triple jump on this planet. It screws up the camera, and you're very likely going to get burned by that fire. There we go. So that fight was really easy, but it's going to get a bit more difficult later on.
Like with every Super Mario game, all the Bowser fights are pretty much the same, except like they step it up a little bit each time.
Yeah. And that will mark the end of World 2. So we divide world segments in this game based on when you grab the Grand Star of each world. Now we're going to be heading off to World 3, and this is where I'd say the run kind of starts to pick up in terms of difficulty. So World 2 was a very short segment. It was like 22 minutes. This is where the segments start to get kind of long. You start to get more stars in each segment. And also during World 3, comments are going to start appearing. And I'll go into more detail on that once they actually do start appearing. But basically, this is where the stars start to get a little difficult, and you're a lot more likely to die to small mistakes happening everywhere. This first star, for example, Cloudy Court 1, is a very, very difficult star to do quickly. We're going to be seeing a lot more cloud boosting action here in a moment. So there's one really important thing about this star, and it's actually at the very end. You can't really see it, but in that section past that launch star that you see on screen right now, there's these crushers that are on cycles, and there's a common metal in the middle of them, so I'm going to try to make it through them quickly without having to wait for them to crush and then go back out again. But I have a setup for it that I just recently made. I'm going to do something here that I'm going to be doing twice in this star. I'm going to cloud boost into this cloud, and that will give me 3 extra clouds. So I essentially use 4 clouds for just to traverse like distance. And here I'm just going to skip a launch star just by using a couple of clouds. And then once again use the gain speed and mid-air mechanic. I'm going to try to make it to this cloud flower here without having to land on the ground. Over here. So the crushers are going to be coming up here. But this setup that I just recently made is not hard. Here's another 4 cloud strap. When I'm making these clouds, I'm crouching once I make the cloud just to cancel the cloud making animation and land on the cloud sooner. Oh, I wanted to, so my original plan there was to land on that cloud, but unfortunately what happened there was I made the cloud really far to the left, so I tried to save it by just going up, but I was not smart about that. I honestly should have just waited. It's fine though, I have another chance to show it off. I haven't had a chance to really practice this. There we go, that's a much better position. There we go. That sucked. That's my first death of this run. So, as I said, World 3, again, this is where the run starts to get difficult. We get a couple of breather stars now, thankfully. So this next star, this is where I get to have some fun with the chat. So it's a points minigame. It's a skating minigame where you get points, and the timer duration for it is fixed. You have to wait 40 seconds in any given scenario. But the nice thing about it is that I can go for as high of a score as I want without losing time. So if the chat wants to make any guesses on what score I'm going to get, you want to guess between 500 and 900 points and guess only in multiples of 10. So I'm going to go ahead and guess 740. You got a guess, Patao?
I guessed in the chat, 720.
Yeah, 720. It's a nice thing a lot of streamers like to do here. Nice, I got the early Goomba statue kill. So I guess one thing I can explain about these chimp minigames here, the skating minigames in particular, is that it's basically the same thing for. I'm going to be doing 2 of these in the run. It's the same thing both times. It's just that on the second time the score's a lot higher. The patterns of the gummits are not RNG, but their rotation is. So they can be rotated in 1 of 4 different ways. I thought for a second I was going the wrong way. I actually happened to get lucky and I was going to the upright corner. And once you know once the second gummit spawns, then you know exactly what pattern you're on. Alright, it doesn't matter. Oh, I barely missed the chance to get 800. There we go. If you miss the opportunity, don't worry. You'll have a chance to do it again later on. Yeah, that star is pretty simple, and it's one of those breather stars you get in this run because nothing too difficult about it, just as long as you don't fail the minigame.
Nice job, Deathline. He actually called it.
Yep, I saw that. Alright, so this next star is a star where I'm actually going to be on a timer with the fire flowers here, because if you haven't noticed, the fire flowers are on time limits. So I have to be pretty specific on my timing here. Basically, there's a combo medal in the 3rd section of this level that I'm going to try to get using this fire flower that you get right here. I have to be very tight on my movement in order to make this. So thankfully you can make a couple seconds of mistakes and still make it. Yeah, like you saw there, I had like maybe a second or two to spare. And if I had missed that, I would have just had to grab that fire flower, blow up the common metal, and then wait for the next one to spawn. Just because you really can't make it all the way over here and still have time to blow up the Bowser statue. So at this point I've gotten 3 stars from World 3, which means that Luigi's going to spawn on Starship Mario. The thing about Luigi is that you're never going to see him in this game. It's not because he's useless, but because it actually wastes time to get him. So Luigi can run faster and jump higher than Mario, and from this point forward he'll start appearing at the start of various stars, and I can talk to him and switch to him for just that 1 star. And yeah, while he does theoretically make the star faster, he doesn't really save time because, again, you have to talk to him and unlock him, and you can only use him for that 1 star. And in addition, he'll talk to you after the star, and so it ends up losing time for how much time it would actually save. Anyway, so here's Honey Halls 1. This is one of the more interesting levels in terms of how cycles work. A general thing about cycles in this game is that moving elements will only move if they're on camera, but this one's really weird. So these first 2 paths that you'll see here, okay, by the way, that was a frame-perfect camera cancel. So these first 2 paths that you'll see here are on cycles, so you can make or not make them. But the next 2 paths I'm going to be on are actually trigger-based, so they'll start moving once I enter a certain zone. Like, for instance, right here, I'm going to activate this swinging platform. And you don't have to ride the platforms all the way. As you'll see here, we can just long jump across the gaps and skip them. Like that. And here's the Comet Metal platform is probably the most interesting of these platforms. No one really knows. I think Yoshi Fan said that this Comet Metal platform moves dependent on when you enter the launch star. Or something, I don't remember. Oh, and by the way, we got Yoshi here, so guess what we're going to do? I don't even think I need to talk about that anymore. Yeah, that was a really good example of Honey Halls 1. Okay, so now I've gotten 4 stars from World 3, and that's important because that means comets are going to start appearing in the world map. So comets are basically revised versions of stars. There's different types of comets. Some give you a time limit, some you have to kill a bunch of enemies in a time limit. Some have cosmic clones, others have daredevils where you have to complete them with only 1 HP, which you'll see none of those. They all have some sort of gimmick. So the way comets work in this game is you need the comet metal from that galaxy to unlock them, and you also need a certain number of comet metals total. So for example, for Potty Quartz Comet, I only need 1 comet metal, and I already have the comet metal for this galaxy, so unlocking. And a lot of comet stars are also really, really fast, so most of them are worth going out of the way to get. This first one has cosmic clones, and they're really annoying. But there's a cool thing I can do on this first planet that I'm going to try to show off, where if you just barely touch the edges of these starships, then the cosmic clones that are supposed to spawn just don't. And it looks really cool, and it wastes no time to do this. And I think it actually saves time, because it means you did the movement optimally. But this is where they start to get annoying. In 2D, cosmic clones are terrible. So basically, any mistakes made from here on out, I'm just screwed. So hopefully I don't mess up a wall jump or anything. They're especially bad in 2D. But we made it. We're fine. Alright, I almost had a star bit at the end, but I caught it at the last second. Another split I'm gonna have to skip. So at this point, I'm going to kind of start letting the comets build up in Worlds 1 and 2, and then I'll be making a couple of trips back to those worlds to kind of clean things up. So now it's time for the next level, Tall Trunk 1. So this is another one of my favorite stars. There's a lot of really cool tricks in this star, and it looks really cool when done well. Right from the get-go, I'm going to be skipping Yoshi on this first planet, because this star introduces the Blimp Fruit to us, which gives Yoshi the ability to float upwards. But the thing is, that's really slow, and so is infinite fluttering upwards with Yoshi. And so, since Mario is such a skilled acrobat, by the way, that's a jump cancel. I think that's the first one I've gotten. I can actually just climb up this tree without having to use Yoshi. Which saves a few seconds. There we go. Couple minor movement errors, but overall nothing too bad. But now I get to use Yoshi, and now is when we'll start abusing him. This Comet Metal Grab I'm about to do is really awkward, because I have to be infinite fluttering backwards. Yeah, the thing with infinite fluttering straight backwards is if you're in the air for too long, then you just can't infinite flutter backwards anymore. And also, if you mess up that flutter, then you have to grab the Blimp Fruit or flutter forwards to get the Comet Medal, but once you flutter forwards, you also can't flutter backwards any longer. So, it ends up losing a lot of time, but thankfully I didn't have too many problems there. And at the end of that planet, I dismounted off of Yoshi, not only to get to the launch star quicker, but so I can do the ground pound at the start of this planet, and Yoshi will automatically be ready for me to use. Unfortunately, I have to use the Blimp Fruit here. There's nothing I can do to avoid it. Not even infinite fluttering upwards is fast here. I'm going to be shaking out of this with the nunchuck so that I can have the Wii Remote cursor pointed at the next Blimp Fruit that I want to grab, and I don't have to have it shake all over the place. Also, I don't like Yoshi, so I'm going to ditch him at the end here. He doesn't need to be in the star animation. Okay, so now it's time for Honey Halts 2. So this star, I like to call this star Long Jump Simulator 2010. Because this star is basically a bunch of long jumps. I can kind of talk about how optimizing long jumps works. So a couple things to note about optimizing long jumps is that if you're just going to do a singular long jump on the ground, you want to press Z and A at around the same time and have Mario crouch for as minimal amount of time as possible, because when Mario lands, he'll actually maintain his speed and he'll start running a lot quicker. This is especially important when playing as Luigi because he accelerates a lot. It takes him a lot longer to accelerate than Mario does. Also, when doing long jumps, I believe it's a 4-frame window in order to have optimal long jumps if you're just spamming them. So you kind of have to be... That was weird. I should have waited a little bit on that second long jump. That doesn't matter because I still made it. I didn't really lose any time. Yeah, basically you just kind of want to time your long jumps. It's a little tricky to optimize, but you'll know once you have it down. And it doesn't really make too much of a difference. It's probably a difference of like maybe a few seconds throughout the entire run. But again, small optimizations can matter. We're done with that star now. I don't know how I got a star, but I thought I shot them all out. Okay, so next up, I'm going to be unlocking another Hungry Luma Galaxy. In this instance, I'm going to be unlocking Beat Block. So the interesting thing about Beat Block Galaxy... Okay, first of all, this Hungry Luma is weird. For some reason, I can't exactly figure out why, but for some reason, the last star bit will always shoot out late. Which is actually useful because, as you can see, during Hungry Luma animations, you're actually able to move. And so, I set up a backflip, which allows me to get to the helm a lot quicker. And so that can just shave off a little bit of time. Alright, so here's Beat Block. What the gimmick with this level is that there are blocks that switch between yellow and green every 8 beats of the song, and so this is a very cycle-based star. If I get the jump whether I get the jump cancel or not will depend on how I do this first part. Alright, so I didn't do it. So I'm actually going to purposely be slow here, because I don't want to get caught by these green platforms right here. Alright, I didn't get caught by them. So now as long as I don't make any good big mistakes, I should be on pace to make the fastest cycle. This is just some more long jumps. That ending part can be a little scary, because if you have a bad angle, you can just bonk on that block and you fall to your death. That went well. Alright, so now I'm basically going to be heading back to Worlds 1 and 2 so I can clear up some of the comet stars that I unlocked earlier. I'm not going to be doing like a complete backtracking session, like I'm not going to be just grabbing comet stars. I'm only going to be collecting a couple comets and unlocking 100 Luma Galaxy. Alright, so next I'm going to be doing Sky Station's Comet. So this is the first instance of a time attack comet, or as Nintendo calls it, a speed run with a space comet. Apparently speed run is supposed to be spelled with a space. I don't know. Maybe Nintendo's just weird. Who knows? But yeah, this is basically the star on a timer. You see those clocks? I have only 20 seconds once I start the level to do what I need to do. But first of all, this is a shortened version of the normal star. And also you get these clocks throughout the level that add a few seconds to your time. So most of these stars are just about routing. By the way, this music is really awesome, but you never get to hear all of it in any percent. Okay. So I'm going to be doing Pee-wee again. This fight's hopefully going to go the exact same as it did last time. It's actually possible to get a weird soft block on Pee-wee, where, let me do this first hit. Alright, I have star bits saved up so I could potentially stun him if I mess up that first hit. The second hit's a lot easier than the first. Yeah, there's this weird soft block where if you like shoot Pee-wee with star bits right before the cutscene's supposed to start or something, then the cutscene just doesn't happen. And Pee-wee just kind of sits there and you can't interact with him in any way, and you also can't die unless you're on the comet and you let the time run out. It's not that bad on the comet since you can just let the time run out. But on the normal star, if that happened, that's basically a reset. But thankfully that's the first star of the run, so it doesn't really cost you that much. Now we're done with that galaxy, and the next star is going to be Yoshi Star Comet, where we're going to be introduced to the Rainbow power-up, which makes Mario basically able to kill enemies by touching them, and he can also run really, really fast. And so at top speed, this is actually really fast to use just by running. However, on this star, it's very difficult to maintain that speed because it's very easy to just bump into walls, and you have to move really precisely to get all these spinies, and their movement is kind of random. see how this goes. I kind of want to touch the side of these spinies too, just because that maintains my momentum a little bit better. Alright, so typically that first part is the hardest part to maintain your speed in, so I should be good for the rest of the star. But another thing that's really important about this star is that I have to make sure these spinies die while they're on camera. Because as I said earlier, moving elements don't move if they're off camera. That applies to these spinies. So if a spiny dies and then moves off camera, the counter doesn't update. And so sometimes it's very confusing when you're at the very end of that star and you just have 29 out of 30 spinies. So I made sure that the spinies died while they were on camera so I could avoid that. That was a really good star. I barely made any major mistakes. Okay, so now I'm going to be doing another Hungry Limit Galaxy. In this instance, I'm going to be doing Flip Swap. So there's an the gimmick with this level is that there's these blue and red platforms that switch every time you spin. But there's a weird mechanic I can abuse with them. So as mentioned earlier, okay, that was really late. I thought I was going to land on the helm first for a second. As mentioned earlier, if you jump while on a platform while it's rising upwards, you get a lot of upwards momentum added to your jump. And so I can abuse that in this star by spinning underneath the platform and then long jump. Okay, I did not mean to do that. And then long jumping on it as it's rising up.
Yeah, once again, it's an effect of the momentum.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for 4 of these in this star, but I'm only gonna go for the second one once because it's by far my least consistent of the 4. And I think the first one is probably the hardest one, but it saves the most time anyways. So it's gonna look really cool if I can get it. Whee! So there we go, you just kind of long jump over the entire stage. There we go, there's another one. So those 2 are probably the hardest, these last 2 are pretty much free. Right. You can cancel a spin with a long jump or a normal jump, which I'll be doing here. Which can make movement a little bit faster in some instances. That was alright, I guess. I got all 4 of them without dying. Can't ask for really that much else. Okay, so now I'm going to be heading to World 2 to collect Puzzle Plank's Comet. And the reason why I'm going to be collecting Puzzle Plank's Comet now, because this is the only comet I'm actually going to get from World 2. It might not make sense to you at first, but the thing is, getting Puzzle Plank's Comet actually unlocks every purple coin comet in the game. And so I need this in order to get some of the stars I want to get in World 4. And also, to unlock this comet, you actually need to collect Cloudy Quartz Comet, because that unlocks every Shadow Mario comet in the game. So, that's the reason I want to collect this star now. And this star is very difficult to do optimally. It's very easy to miss a purple coin, so I'm going to try and focus for this star. It's a very short star, too. That was almost perfect, but I had that little turnaround at the end, but I didn't miss any, which is actually really impressive. That's very hard to do. It's very hard to collect all those 4 purple coins in one go through. In fact, it's very rare that I get a run of that star that's that good. Okay, so next up is Bowser Jr.'s Fearsome Flea, and I'm just gonna warn you, I'm gonna go for a really, really tough strat here. So here's how Bowser Jr.'s Fearsome Fleet works. So it's this level full of auto scrolls, but we can skip all the auto scrollers because the level's basically all one height, and you get Yoshi right at the very start, so it's basically Infinite Flutter Central. And I'm gonna be going for the harder of the two strats, which involves 3 different flutters. The first one is really easy. The second and third are really hard, because I'm basically going to Infinite Flutter from an asteroid to this question block in the middle of nowhere, and then from there I have to do a very tough flutter that has several things that can go wrong in order to get to the end of the level. I'll probably only attempt this once, but I might attempt it a couple of times. It's pretty difficult, though. So this Infinite Flutter is the easiest of the 3. I do not like this angle. Alright, I think this is fine. Yeah, this is fine. Alright, we got it. Be in there. That last flutter requires... I think only 1 or 2 angles will actually work for that last flutter. And also, getting the Comet Medal in midair is very difficult, and you have to go underneath that structure, and the death plane is ridiculously close to that structure. So I couldn't go any lower than that, or you just die. But thankfully I got that first try. It saves a few. And the last flutter also, if you take too long to set up the angle, it can't really save time. Anyway, so here's Mega Hammer. This boss fight is also really technical. I'm going to back up at the start here, get a Bulb Bill and Yoshi's mouth, and then move forward with this one, and then get an early hit. And now I'm going to not do the same thing here, because I actually want to cancel one of Mega Hammer's animations. So I'm going to fire the Bulb Bill now. So when he was shaking there, he was actually getting ready to smash his hammers together, which would have wasted a couple seconds. Okay, so right here I'm going to try to lure 3 Bulb Bills. I'm going to use these first 2 to take out this back weak spot, and then get this third one in Yoshi's mouth, and now I'm going to try to hope that it scores through the cutscene, so I can get a free hit on Mega Hammer. Because the thing is, he's supposed to lower his head here, but if you do a side flip and a full flutter, you can get the hit, like that. That was a pretty decent Mega Hammer fight. That was a really good Fearsome Blade. I'm really happy I got the question block flutter first try.
Yeah, good job.
Thank you. And I can just do a flutter to the Sling Star. And that's the end of World 3. A couple mistakes here and there, but overall nothing too bad. But the run's just getting started, okay? I wouldn't even say we're at the halfway mark yet, even though we're done with 3 out of 6 worlds. Because now we're going to be heading on to World 4. And this is where the run starts to really, really get difficult. World 4 is full of difficult stars that it's very easy to die to and lose multiple, like, up to a minute on. So hopefully I don't make too many major mistakes, if any at all. But they do happen in World 4. This is arguably one of the hardest worlds in SMG2 any percent. So right off the bat, we're going to be heading on to Sweet Mystery, another Hungry Luma Galaxy. And if you remember, Bowser Jr.'s Fearsome Fleet was basically a level full of infinite fluttering, and this level is more or less the same. Just destroyed by infinite fluttering. This is also one of the coolest levels to do ILs of, because there's strats that involve bouncing off of the Bolt Berries. And you saw me do a bounce off of a berry in Yoshi Star 1. I kind of want to talk about that. So how that works is, Yoshi can't normally bounce on something that he can eat, because if Yoshi touches a fruit, he'll automatically eat it. But if you press B to stick Yoshi's tongue out right as you're about to bounce on something, then Yoshi will have his tongue out, and therefore he can't eat the fruit he's gonna hit, so he just bounces on it. And that's what I did for the Yoshi Star 1 flutter. So we're gonna hope that this star goes
The
well.
IL strat for this star is actually ridiculously hard to get. It requires a very, very specific angle, and it requires you to bounce on 3 different objects, I think.
Yeah. Alright, I don't have faith in this flutter, but we'll see what happens. Alright, that went much better than expected. By the way, I'm grabbing Starbits here just because I was a little short on Starbits from the bank, though, so I'm just trying to grab some to make up for that. This last flutter I have to be careful with. If I somehow fall during this last flutter, then because I skipped the launch star, I actually hit this invisible floor. And so it takes like 20 seconds to find a ledge you can fall off of, and it's a really long fall, and so that would waste a ton of time, but thankfully I didn't hit it. It's a little scary though, because the inputs for doing an infinite flutter are Z and A, because you have to crouch cancel and then hit A to flutter, which are also the exact same inputs for dismounting off of Yoshi. So basically, I don't want to press Z and A at the same time. It's kind of, you hold A, let go of A, tap Z, let go of Z, and then press A again. It's really complicated inputs for infinite fluttering. Anyway, so now it's time for Flipspell 1, which a lot of people say is one of the coolest levels in this game because it has one of the coolest skips. Flipspell in general is a really technical and fun to speedrun galaxy. Also, I'm going to go for a jump cancel here, but it doesn't matter if I get it because I have to wait for this guy either way. I think I've still only gotten 1 jump cancel this entire run. So yeah, you can just kind of get to the common meta by just going on top of this wall. And now, it doesn't look like you should be able to do this, but this is Super Mario Galaxy 2, and physics don't like to work right. So because I did that skip, I can actually set myself up for another skip because I basically unloaded a kill plane. So by getting some momentum off that roof, I'm now falling backwards, and you could go to the Star Shroom, or you could just go to the boss planet and just skip the entire level. Works pretty well. And right there, what I just did is a frame-perfect ground pound. By spinning and ground pounding on basically the same frame, you can get an immediate ground pound out of a spin, and it's the best way to ground pound out of a long jump. And I've been going for that several times throughout this run, but again, it's frame perfect in 60 frames per second. It also involves motion controls, so it's very rare that it happens. Yeah, Glam Dozer, the entire body is vulnerable, so you can just wait underneath its chin, and then once it becomes vulnerable, just ground pound and you'll immediately attack it.
Once again, also a huge shout out to Nemi, because he's actually the person who has broken this game apart the most. I mean, he has found probably around like 95% of all the big skips, and he's really been helping out with the.
Definitely. Also, Paraxade, I believe, found a bunch of skips in this game as well.
Yeah,
like
very early on, Paraxade found a lot of stuff. He actually uploaded a video like just months after the game was released. But that was like before speedrunning was.
It's amazing how quickly a lot of the skips were found.
Yeah. Also, the skip that there in Flips will Just this is Flipspool, right?
Yeah, this is Flipsville.
I mean, the strat there in Flipspool was actually discovered. One of the big tricks discovered after I started running this game a few years ago. So really cool to see how can still be found and break the game. I mean, not a single game. I think not a single game is still like fully broken down. There's always new stuff to be found.
I'm gonna go for this little enemy bounce here, which will allow me to... That's not the fastest strat, but it's the safest one I've come up with. That's still fast. And yeah, you just skip the spin drill entirely on these first 2 planets. But once I get into this pipe room, I have to start worrying about cycles here. So this first room, this is by far the hardest part. But we're good. So now I'm on a pretty tight cycle here. And this is half auto-scroller, half cycle-based with the spin drill here. But fortunately, again, once you get past that first room, there's nothing too difficult to worry about. You just kind of have to go through these rooms. This is going to get a lot more interesting in a couple stars from now, as we'll be having to do this while collecting purple coins. So something I'm going to mention now is I'm going to be going kind of back and forth between Flipsville and Sweet Mystery for now, because the way comets work in this game, first of all, you need to have all the main stars in a galaxy before you can unlock its comet. So for Sweet Mystery, that's just the first star, and in Flipsville, that's the first 2 stars. And also, you have to have at least 1 star in between. So basically, the way the beginning of World 4 is routed out is basically just you go back and forth between Flipsville and Sweet Mystery so that you can satisfy the requirements to unlock each comet. Which ends up working out. So this will be the buffer star for Flipsville's comet. And this comet star is kind of a devil in disguise, because I'm going to be collecting purple coins while riding Yoshi. Yoshi walks really fast. And while this is useful for speedrunning, because I'm basically can just walk as much as possible, it's really hard to collect purple coins quickly while walking on Yoshi. So hopefully I don't make any major mistakes. Also, whenever I do a flutter, whenever I do a jump, because Yoshi actually loses speed in midair, unlike just Mario, I actually double tap A so that I cancel the flutter. I cancel the jump with a flutter. And basically Yoshi doesn't last in midair for as long. And allows me to kind of walk a lot more. Which is one of the subtle things you don't notice when just casually running this game. This game has had a lot of minor optimizations over. As you can see, yeah, it's very easy to just miss a purple coin in basic few seconds having to go back for it. Also, yeah, Yoshi can just kind of walk in midair like that. Totally normal. I'm gonna wait here. I think you can make that block cycle. You can make it without having to wait, but I've never made it, and I don't know if I've seen it. Right. There we go. It's so irritating on that star to miss a purple coin and then spend like 2 seconds having to go back to get it. It can be such a huge pain. Alright, but if you thought that purple coin star is difficult, this one, I wouldn't say it's as difficult or as annoying, but it definitely is challenging. Because this is another cycle-based and motion control-based star. I'm on a very tight schedule with this star in terms of platform cycles and whatnot. So hopefully I don't make any major mistakes. But once again, the first room of this star is the hardest part, so once I get past that, the star is kind of free. But the thing with the spin drill is that when Mario drills with it, his hitbox grows to a huge amount. And so you can use that to grab purple coins from very far away, and that's going to be used a lot in this star. So again, that part is definitely the hardest part. But once you get past that, there's nothing too difficult to worry about. I'm gonna be 1 cycle behind now. That's unfortunate. So I'm gonna split that room into 2 segments. Oh, I did not mean to do that. So this is gonna be interesting. We're gonna have a lot of improvisation here. Learning experience for everyone here. So I have to go through this room now. I can just get these and finish the star up. Alright. That was a little embarrassing, but could have gone way worse. Also, there's a weird thing. Sometimes you can grab that star automatically, and other times you just can't. But now we're done with both Sweet Mystery and Flipsville, which is nice. We won't ever have to go back to those galaxies again. Now we can move on to bigger and better things. And when I say bigger, I mean literally bigger, because we're going to be heading on to Supermassive next. And Supermassive is one of those levels where the gimmick is everything's huge. So, at the start of this level, I'm going to be doing camera turn strats to manipulate cycles with the thwomps and the pipe. Because, again, since cycles only move when they're on screen, that means if I can turn the camera so that they're off screen, then they just don't move. So I turn the camera right 3 times, which sets it up so where the cycles of the pipe and thwomps are now lined up for me to do what I want to do. And I'm going to go for a cool little pipe momentum jump here. There we go. So that just kind of saves the equivalent of 1 thwomp cycle. And it looks pretty cool too. Now I'm on this planet where I can just, as soon as I drill 1 Koopa, the Koopas are lined up in such a way where I can just drill all 3 of them. And I don't have to move at all. And I'm going to be doing some more camera turning here, this time to manipulate some moving platforms up ahead so that they're on more favorable cycles. So I might be a little early here. Let's see what happens. I'm going to try to get this platform to spawn right underneath me. Nice. And this last planet is really simple. You just long jump forward and hope these wigglers don't get in your way. But thankfully there's a free one up here. By the way, game overing in this game, first of all, doesn't happen once you're good. And second of all, isn't really a huge issue. Because this game actually autosaves. Oh wow, I golded that split. Huh. This game autosaves, so it doesn't really matter. You don't really lose progress. It's only a matter of just having to restart the game.
Do you do the Boom Moon 1
yeah,
star?
I do Boom Moon 1. So, we used to get 2 stars in Supermassive, but due to a recent route change, and by recent I mean it happened over 2 years ago, because of a skip and another star that was found, we actually don't have to do 2 stars in Supermassive, so we can just get that one and call it a day.
Once again, the work of Nemi.
So now I'm heading on to Chompworks Galaxy. This is one of the slower galaxies in this game. Mainly this first star. It's about 2 minutes long. The thing is, though, the other 2 stars are like a minute long each, so it's worth it. And there's a lot of really cool tech in Chompworks. Like, this beginning here is really difficult to do optimally with cycles and whatnot. So I kind of run up the edge of that slope there, which allows me to not get affected by the slope's physics. And that's actually a lot more precise than it looks. if you're too far to the left, you'll just slide off, and 9 out of 10 times you just die, even if it looks like you're in a really good position. And also, by long jumping into that launch star, I actually prevent a landing cancel on this planet. Which is cool. I'm going to have to do a spin here. So, I think Patal, I think you found this strat, where, we used to not think this was possible, but if you go on the very left edge of that seesaw, it actually lowers it. If you do it in the right way, it lowers it just enough so that that chomp can actually get on. Normally you have to have that chomp break and then wait for another one.
Basically, we used to kill the first chomp because we couldn't get this platform to move down enough. Or actually, like it moved down, and then it went back up again because it always has its center of mass a little bit to the right, so the back if you try to tilt it down. But if you touch it just enough, it will move down and pretty much stay there, and that lets us not kill the first chomp.
And this last planet is basically an auto scroller. You can't really do
and it's impossible. Here. It's impossible to get the first golden chomp there
with one player. With 2 players, you can. So there is an option to use 2 players in this game. A second player acts as an orange Luma, and basically they can hold enemies, they can hold coins, they can kill enemies, hit levers from afar, and they can save time in some ways, but for the sake of the run, I'm just using 1 player. But yeah, for instance, at the start of that planet, they can actually stop that chomp and lower the platform and then allow it to get on.
I think that is probably like the biggest time save a 2-player run.
Yeah, that's definitely the star that 2-piece saves that would save the most time on an 80%. So how many of you played Galaxy 1 and hated the spring suit as a kid? I'm sure quite a few of you. Because guess what? We're going to get to see the spring suit again in this next star. But thankfully this is like the only star in the game where the spring suit actually appears. Yeah, the spring mushroom, its physics kind of suck, but we'll work with it. And in fact, we don't even need it for the entire star. We can skip it for the first couple planets. Because, again, Nintendo forgot about elements they included in their own game.
You actually can skip the suit entirely throughout the level, but...
on the 3rd planet, it's a lot slower.
Yeah.
And an interesting thing about this level is there's a cycle you can make on the... 3rd planet that you see in the background, and here's the reason. So the cycle, by the way, I didn't get the jump cancel, so I'm already not going to make it. The reason why the cycle is important with the jump, that was my fault. I long jumped too far to the right. That was unfortunate. But yeah, the thing with this cycle that I was trying to make there is, the moving platform can be seen from this first planet, and so if you don't get the jump cancel, it's basically almost impossible to make without really good movement. But now that I died, I don't know what I'm going to be in for here. Also, I don't think I've ever gotten a frame perfect camera cancel there until now. Yeah, you can just kind of jump up here. Shouts to Pac-Man, by the way. Let's go ahead and steal a few of his star bits. So here's the spring suit. Slot. Oh. I think I can land up here. Land. Okay. As I said, wonky physics. So that didn't go too badly, I guess. That was unfortunate, but, you know, you wanted to work with it. And that's the last time we'll be seeing the spring suit for the entirety of this run, so hope you enjoyed it, or didn't enjoy it, or whatever. That is one of the harder stars to do fast, though, so I'm okay with the messing up there. And I think, on total, I only lost around 50 seconds. So coming up is another one of my favorite galaxies in this game, Starshine Beach. This first star in Starshine Beach is one of the few open-ended stars in this entire game. Basically, there's 5 silver stars on the beach, and they're spread around, and getting from one to another is really cool with the movement and all. Especially because you have access to Yoshi, and unlike Super Mario Sunshine, Yoshi doesn't die when you touch water. He doesn't dissolve. And so, you can do some cool stuff with Yoshi in this star. Also, hi Luigi. Alright, so that right there, I attempted a frame perfect ground pound, but I tried to ground pound too late, so I just got a spin. Actually, I think that time it was too early. I think it's too early if you spin and too late if you do a homing ground pound. Right, so I'm gonna get on Yoshi here, I'm gonna eat this crabber, and then infinite flutter up here. And then I'm going to use this crabber to break this glass. And now I have to do a pretty tough infinite flutter from this first silver star to the second. And the reason why this is tough is because the camera kind of lies to you about where you are in relation to the tower. So as you can see, it actually kind of moved me a little bit forward. I actually was almost a little too far back, but I was able to recover it. I'm going to go here and get this dash pepper. And with the dash pepper, you can run on water. Especially deep water. For another cool dismount here. Hoping this will make up for Hightail Falls. Alright, I barely made it. So that's it. So that's kind of like what I was trying to do on Hightail Falls, where when you dismount with Dash Yoshi on a slope, you get a lot of height. And I can use that to go straight into the last silver star, or in that case, just kind of fall into it. And you can just infinite fire to the star from here. Alright. That didn't go too bad. Okay, so the next star is, I'm going to be doing is Starshine Beach 2, and this star is normally really long and really roundabout. You're supposed to go underwater, go to the tower, hit a switch to make a cloud flower appear, grab the cloud flower, and then ride a leaf all the way over to the tower, and then from there, you can use the clouds to get back up, but no. I don't want to do any of that. I'm a speedrunner. So, instead, I'm going to use my good friend Chuckster, who's a lot friendlier than he is in Mario Sunshine, to basically launch myself onto the highest cloud and skip all of that. And the thing with clouds in this game is that if you don't have Cloud Mario or B Mario, I think it's a 6-frame window, which in this game is around 1/10 of a second, to jump off of a cloud if you don't have Cloud Mario. So, it seems like a tough window, but in all actuality, it's literally free. And once again, to manipulate cycles, once I get a little ways into here, because I don't want the camera to get stuck, I'm actually going to turn the camera here to manipulate the cycles of the cloud. I'll turn it in extra times to get on the safe side. Alright, so that's good. There we go. Like I said, not really that difficult. So there's a really stupid variant of that skip where you triple jump off the lowest cloud and then wall jump spin onto the highest cloud, and only people like Patal go for that. And it does theoretically save time, but it's really, really inconsistent.
The reason why that skip is harder than it should be is basically because the tower's wall kick, it's really difficult to wall kick the tower in some cases. So.
Yeah, sometimes if you hold, I hold neutral once I land on the cloud so that Mario's facing the camera, because if he isn't, it can be really hard to get the wall jump off the cloud. And if you don't make the jump and you turn around, then you just fall and you have to try again. And speaking of terrible things that can happen, this is Chompworks Comet. So this is the final planet of Chompworks 1, but with cosmic clones. This star sucks. Just end of discussion. So
Although, if anyone wants to have a free world record, they can IL this level, because it's actually literally just you have to spawn the cosmic clones in the exact correct frame, and that's it.
Yeah.
Because after you spawn the and you have to spawn as soon as the golden chomp, the first golden chomp there gets destroyed.
Yeah.
That will activate a new one immediately, and if you do that and just finish the level and get the star as soon as possible, then you will have a world record.
Of 51.20 seconds. So yeah, this star, the reason why this star is terrible is because if this chomp breaks, backtracking is almost impossible because of the cosmic clones. Alright. I'm already not going to get a frame perfect time. I think the best I've gotten is like 51 point, maybe 51.4 or something. Alright, I was 0.9 off. So, rip. Alright, so now it's time for one of the coolest skips in this game, but also one of the most complicated. It's called, I'm going to Bowser's Gravity Gauntlet, and both stars here have a really unique and interesting skip. The first one I'm going to go for is called Behind the Castle. And so how this works is, in the 2D section of the castle, it's possible to go behind it and where there's a bunch of lava and then there's a drop-off far away from the castle. But right near the section behind the castle is the end 2D section of the level, and it's possible to reach there using a bunch of lava boosts. However, if I'm too close to the castle while doing these lava boosts, then I get stuck in this weird limbo state, and I can't move until I die. Or if I'm too far away, I just fall off. So I have a setup that requires me to be a very specific distance away from the castle. And I'm also going to be grabbing this life mushroom. It's just so I have some extra health. And the reason why I'm doing
need to
this...
bounce the lava on very specific places, because if you miss it, you will just fall off instead of getting reached, pulled by the gravity in the final section.
And also I have to do this on Gravity Gauntlet 1 so I can get the checkpoint and the comet medal. So there goes nothing.
This is probably one of the hardest tricks to learn.
Alright, I got it. So I know I just made that look easy, but in all actuality, it's not just a matter of getting behind the castle and just holding right. I have to actually hold up right at one point, just for like a split second, just so that Mario is the right distance away from the castle. Because again, if you're too close or too far away, you just die. Thankfully, I didn't have an issue with it. I played a little safer. I didn't want to accidentally miss that lock.
Interestingly, these locks can actually be destroyed faster by hitting basically two at the same time, but it's frame perfect, and I think Nemi has like a setup for it, but it's really...
No, it's a setup you don't want to do. It might be Luigi only. I don't know if it would work with Mario.
Yeah, it might be.
Alright, so this Bowser fight is where the fights start to get just a little bit more complicated, because Bowser's going to have shockwaves coming out of his punches, and so do the meteors. Also in this fight, and this fight only, Bowser will drop 2 meteors instead of 3, which makes the fight just a little bit more difficult, because Bowser can easily punch out both meteors. And also I'm going to be going for this thing called a punch cancel, where I'm going to wait for Bowser to charge up a punch before hitting him with this first meteor. And basically that'll allow me to cancel his punching attack. And it saves a couple seconds if you get it. So yeah, Bowser didn't punch there. Normally he would have punched there. I am amazed that both times Bowser did not punch out the meteor. His fist was really close to it. So I don't have to do that punch cancel for the rest of the fight. He only does it on that first phase. Alright, I'm gonna guide Bowser away from those meteors. That was kind of a bad spot. All I have to do is get this final hit, and then we'll be done. And hopefully Bowser isn't an idiot and win. Oh, dang it, Bowser. Okay, I think I touched his line. Alright, no missed hits on Bowser so far. There we go. That's Gravity Gauntlet 1. Pretty decent World 4, only a few minor mistakes here and there. Now we're going to be done with that. I don't think this can gold, but it will be pretty close to it. Yeah. Alright, so now we're done with the World 4 segment of the run. So, before we do anything in World 5, I am going to backtrack to Worlds 1 and 2, just to get a couple extra comment stars. A couple of them I could have technically gotten earlier, however, it's just efficient to get the comments in addition to one of the stars that I couldn't unlock until about 20 comment medals, and another one requires a male tub letter that I can only get from Shopworks. So, just going to have to sit through this cutscene again. And then, as soon as I'm done with all those text boxes at the start of World 5, I can go back to World 2. There we go. So the first I'm going to be doing is Hightail Falls Comet, which is the timed version of the first star. There's the timer, which isn't much of a threat. It's the least of your worries, honestly. Then you have the meteors, which usually aren't a threat. The holes in the ground, which usually aren't a threat. And the ending of the star is actually going to be a different, because I don't have to get the comet medal in the star, since, well, this is the comet. So I'm going to be doing a much different strat at the end of the star. It's honestly a lot harder. And there's also those Smeeches for some reason. So those Smeeches, they kind of, if you touch one, they'll latch onto Yoshi's mouth and you have to shake them off. And while they're on Yoshi's mouth, he can't use his tongue for anything. And I think that's like the least of their harm they can do. It's like the biggest harm they can do. Right, I almost didn't make it past that wall again until this time I made it first try. I forgot to mention, on Hightail Falls 1, I did those really big jumps at the end of these roads. I guess I can show them off again. I don't normally do them on the comment. Yeah, if you jump at the edge of those ramps, you get these really weird jumps. So I'm actually going to take the launch star this time, because I'm going to go for a leap of faith here. So we'll see how this goes. First try, idiot. Chassis at the flips. So basically, by jumping at the very edge of that wall, you get this really, really high jump for some reason, and you can use that to basically jump all the way up to the end of the star, which actually is a bit faster than what I was attempting to do on Hightail Falls 1. Alright, time for RNG's Heaven, or you know what I mean. So I'm about to do Boulder Bowl Comet. This is probably the biggest RNG star in the entire run. So, on Boulder Bowl Comet, you have to kill 30 crabbers in a minute. Their movement is pretty much random. And so my strategy here is I'm going to kind of try to let them group up for the first 20 or 30 of them. And then after that, I'll just kind of focus on the individual ones. So here goes nothing. Let's see, I gotta really decent start. And these blue crabbers are by far the worst because their movement is the most erratic. So the game never tells you this, but you can actually jump out of Rock Mario form early by, I haven't had to do it yet on this star, but by just doing the same inputs for a ground pound, which is A and Z. Alright, that was insanely good. That was pretty insane. In one of my practice runs, the timer, I've got the last crabber literally as the timer hit 1, and so I barely made it. It was insane. And yeah, I golded that split. That was awesome. Yeah, I think Patal, in your IL of that star, you just said the only way you can do it is to just play the game.
Yeah.
You can kind of predict where the crabbers are going to be by looking through the planet, but that's kind of hard to do when you also have to be looking at Mario and paying attention to where he is and stuff. So we're going to get one more star from Boulder Ball. So, so we get to help an enemy out on this star, despite the fact that he's just such an easy enemy to kill. We're going to have to save him on this star, unfortunately. So I'm going to get to do Boulder Ball 1 skip without Rock Mario here, and as you can see, it's a lot easier. That part's really the only tricky part, but once you get here, literally you just long jump to the left and spin. You don't have to set it up at all. Alright, so now is the tricky part of this star. You have to kind of lure this Goomba over here, and then hope he doesn't get crushed by anything. But I think I'll be fine. He's a really good distance away from that boulder. Alright, and no soft lock. We're good. So for whatever reason, it's possible to get a soft lock there where it just doesn't move on to the cutscene, and so you'd have to reset the game, which wouldn't have been a huge issue, I guess, at least in terms of the marathon, but thankfully it didn't happen. I've only seen it happen like twice, I think. So we just saved a creature, but we get to go back to killing them now, because we're gonna get to see our good friend Gobblegut again. And if you remember, he kind of messed me up pretty badly last time, but now I have another chance to show off a perfect Gobblegut, because this is literally going to be the exact same fight, just on a time limit, which, once again, time limits are the least of your worries in this game, because I'm a speedrunner. So I'm going to literally attempt the exact same thing I attempted on Fire at the 201. And hopefully it goes as planned. Alright, there we go. We got the first phase properly this time, so now I'm going to try to get a good second phase. Uh-oh. I think I can still make this work. Okay, I could not see it all there. So I turned around kind of badly there, and Gobblegut kind of turned around with me, so I'm once again going to be losing a little bit of time here. Oh my god. I cannot believe this. I'm normally really consistent at Gobblegut. Alright, I'm just going to make here. I don't know why I'm not able to get this hit now. There we go. That was really bad. Oh well. If you want to see an optimal Gobble Gut, just like watch my PB or something. I think I get a perfect Gobble Gut on my second run through. I need to practice Gobble Gut apparently. That's just kind of the nature of it though. I made one small mistake and it led to 30 seconds lost. But now we're completely done with Worlds 1 and 2, and we can move on to World 5. We're not going to be getting too many stars from World 5, but the ones we are going to get are really interesting. So this first star I'm going to do is Space Storm 1, which is one of the 10 stars you're actually required to get in order to get through the game. And this star is pretty tough to do fast. Because there's a pole star, there's this second planet that you see in the, over here is really tough to do optimally without messing anything up, and then there's a pole star section at the end that's really tough to do fast, and I've already messed it up, so I might still be able to make my fast cycle here. Yeah, I'll be fine. Oops. So that's already a bad thing. I think I can save this. I don't think that really cost me time. So now here I have to just lure this Bob-omb over to a piece of glass to break it, and then I can head to the launch star, and I can just skip a bunch of walking after I get through the glass play. Just long jumping from here straight to the launch star. So now we're heading on to the pole star section. I do not like pole stars, so we'll see how this goes. I am really low on health, and that's really making me nervous. Alright. Thankfully, once you get hit by a laser, you're suspended in midair for a little bit, so I was able to recover that pretty quickly. That wasn't too bad of a Space Storm 1, despite the many mistakes I made. I only lost a couple seconds. Alright. So now I'm going to be doing the second star, Space Storm 2, which, first of all, is kind of based off of Buoy-based Galaxy from Super Mario Galaxy 1. And it actually has the Buoy-based music, so that's a nice little throwback. But the thing with this star is that it's a really fast star if you're able to pull it off optimally. You're basically intended to go through it's a really short star because you just sequence break the entire thing. And there's a bunch of those switches you're supposed to hit. Those are supposed to slow down time. I'm not hit any of those. That's I'm too good for that. So yeah, you can just skip the entire first part of this level just by jumping up here. And I'm already going to be losing time because that ledge grab is going to, I'm not going to be able to make a cycle here. I'll go for this. So that was basically what I was trying to aim for, just to cycle later. So we're done with Space Storm now. Alright, so next I'm going to be heading to Shiverburn, and so Shiverburn Secret is another points minigame. So this time, if you want to guess between 600 and 900 in multiples of 10, place your bets and see what score I'm going to get on the skating minigame. It's basically the exact same thing, I just need to get a higher score this time. And you still have a huge margin for error. So,
I'll say 8-10.
That's a good one. I'm gonna guess 720. Ooh, wow. Yeah, so sometimes that those green platforms give you a huge amount of momentum to your jump. It's pretty random when it happens, though. And it actually kind of hurts you because you take longer to fall. And you just use the quads to skip having to go around that seat. Alright, here we go. What did I say, 720? Oh, I'll go 720. Oh wow, I got the same RNG 2 times in a row.
So, has the skating happened yet? Because, do you have time? Sorry, I'm trying not to be weird. Do you have time for us to read 2 quick donations?
Sure, go ahead.
Alright, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't talking while you had something important happening.
No, it's fine. This is just a skating minigame, so you're fine.
The first one we had was from, it was $1 from, I'm sorry if I pronounced this wrong, Un Fantasma Mas, who ran the previous game before this, the Donald Duck game, who said, thanks for having me in the marathon, good luck to all the runners. And they put that towards saving the animals in Metroid Project Base. The other one we have is the BPG 13 with $5. Looking forward to doing Looking forward to doing my Colin McRae rally run later on. Hope everyone enjoys the event, and let's give the children a better future. So thank you two, for your donations, and sorry about that. You can go back to talking what you were talking.
Nah, that's fine. There was nothing to talk about there. So yeah, you were fine to read the donations there.
Thank you.
All right, so yeah, I got 780. Okay, so now I'm gonna be doing Shiverburn 1. Which is Vital's favorite star in this game.
Huh?
Yeah. So, Shiverburn 1 at the very start, I'm going to go for a skip here, where I'm basically going to skip from the beginning of this first planet to the end of the second planet. I'm going to be using Cloud Mario again to do it. The method I'm using for this skip is actually pretty precise, so let's see if I get this. And this skip was actually found by Tollful31, so if you can believe that. So yeah, just kind of use gravity to ditch Cloud Mario here. And on this next planet, I'm going to go for another skip where you're supposed to kill all those crab enemies to make a bridge appear by firing coconuts back at them. But again, because Nintendo forgot about physics they programmed into their own game, you can just long jump past them and lava boost to reach the crystals behind them.
Something interesting with this stage that actually I found out during this stage is that the cloud power-up actually works slightly different when you're above ground compared to above a void. If you get the first cloud over ground, for example, it's way harder to actually make that skip.
Yeah.
Even if
Okay,
you're closer to the...
on this boss, I want to explain something. I'm going to purposely miss that first coconut and get this second one late. Because the reason why I'm going to do that is because I'm setting him up so that... The thing with this boss is that if he's ever on that side of the battlefield on the second or third hits, then he'll do this like upwards firing attack that you technically can use to make the fight go a little bit faster. But it's really, really RNG dependent. And the method I'm doing here requires no RNG whatsoever and is only just a few seconds slower. So it's really, really consistent. And for the sake of the marathon, I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I usually do it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah. There we go. That was a pretty decent Shiverburn one. Okay, so... By the way, I should explain that I am getting Starbits from the Mail Toad, so... You get 150 Starbits in this route from Mail Toad letters, 50 from 3 each. So, usually I aim for around 4,850 Starbits for the Bank Toad, just so that I don't have to really get anything in any other levels. There are some Starbits you can get on Starship Mario, if you ever are short of Starbits. And there's a bunch of levels that have plenty of Starbits for you to collect. Alright. So here's Upside Dizzy. This is kind of the sequel level to Right Side Down from World 1. This is another really movement-intensive stage. There's a lot of technical stuff, and this is one of the most awkward stages. So I guess I could real quickly explain. The arrows are depicting which direction gravity is going. So when they're pointing up, Mario is going to go towards the ceiling. When it's down, it's the floor.
This is a good example of a very cycle-based level.
Definitely.
There's a lot of cycles built in the route.
Especially in the second room.
During the run. Yeah, and I mean, there are different strategies for if you fail a cycle, you can do different strategies, but it's very cycle-heavy in a lot of places, so...
Right. That's the first...
Tiny mistakes can cost you a lot of time.
I think that's the first time I've made that 5 jump first try in a marathon. So I'm really happy about that.
Nice.
Yeah, this is probably the most awkward hallway in the existence of gaming. Yeah, but the way I do this room, I purposely have to get hit by that laser. That was a really, really good Upside Dizzy 1 for me. It doesn't usually go that well for me, so I'm really happy with how that went. Yeah, that second hallway room is very cycle-based, because the gravity will switch to the tune of the song, and so you have to be ready for that.
Also, a very interesting IL to do, in my opinion.
Definitely.
But it's probably one of the ones that took me the longest to actually achieve, besides like Sweet Mystery.
Alright, so now I'm going to be doing the Secret Star, which if you remember Right Side Down, it's just going to be another box-burning minigame. I'm going to go for a cool Goomba Pounce to enter the pipe early. There's a bunch of different ways you can enter the pipe, though, so it doesn't matter if I miss it. But this looks really cool.
Also, I agree with you, I also suck at the box games.
Yeah. But this one's a lot easier because the boxes are a bit more tightly packed together. And there's not as many weird angles you have to throw the fireballs at. So optimally, I want a 9 on the timer by the time I'm done with the star. Or by the time I'm done with the boxes. But an 8 is also really, really good. So an important detail to note about Fire Mario is that when you're throwing the fireballs, they don't come from his center, but rather they actually come from his right hand. So you have to keep that in mind when you're throwing these fireballs. Alright, I got an 8, which is still really good for me. I usually barely get a 9, so that's pretty good. Okay, so now we're done with Upside Dizzy. There's only a couple stars left we need to get in World 5. I think this is the last time we'll be going down to the engine room for this run, so thankfully we're done with that. Last time I'll have to perform this movement. That triple jump can be really weird. Especially if you're like me and you like to aim for the star bits that are in the lower left-hand corner, and so you get thrown off of where you are. Okay, so now it's time for Boo Moon. This is a kind of boring galaxy, at least this first star is, because it's just this little maze you have to go through that's not really difficult, and then there's just a bunch of snake block auto-scrollers. But thankfully, this is another one of those nice brainer stars. By the way, I'm pretty sure it's only faster to do long jumps at the beginning and end of this planet, so that's why I'm not like long jumping here or anything. Because this planet is slightly like curved, and so that makes long jumps a little slower.
Are you doing the skip?
I'm doing Boo Moon Secret first. So yeah, you get 2 stars in Boo Moon in this route. But thankfully you can skip some of the auto-scrollers. You can skip some parts of them, like by there I just long jump straight to the area. And here I'm gonna long jump from here to this snake block. So now it's just a matter of waiting. Just kinda go through here, just gotta wait. These octaves are really annoying. Because you can't kill them, and if they touch you and you fall off the snake block, you're just dead. Oh, what the? Oh. Ugh, no, I cannot believe that. I don't know what happened there. I just kind of started going the wrong direction. I have no idea what happened there. Honestly, I probably should have just entered the launch star and did Boom in 1. Just to... But I wanted to see if I can still get the Comet Medal. I have no idea what happened there. That's a really bad time loss. It's such a good World 5, too. I, like, missed the Comet Medal or something, and then gravity messed up on me. So I couldn't go back and get it and make it back on. Okay, there we go. Alright, so I'm going to do a skip here. Just long trip off the snake blocks and go right into the star. Really easy. And that actually makes that section easier because, again, those Octoboos make it really terrible. And that snake block also is really annoying. It's really fast. And if you mess up on it, you just die. Alright, so I'm good on Comet Medals. I know I'm supposed to have 27 after Boom in 1. I mean, after Boom in. So now I'm going to be heading off to Boom in 1. This star didn't used to be in the any percent route. But Nemi, I believe, found a skip on this star that makes this star faster than Supermassive Secret Star for any percent. So hopefully this
I think it was like I think it made it to like 7 seconds faster or something like that.
Yeah.
A very technical skip though.
Yeah, definitely. Although
hard when you understand it, but very technical to learn.
Yeah, so I would still recommend doing this star even if you don't know the skip, just because it's a really easy star to do, unlike Supermassive.
Yeah, and even without a skip, it isn't that much lower. So.
So it's basically going to allow me to skip the rest of the snake block section. But here's how it's going to work. So I'm going to head over here. I'm going to activate this wall, then turn around, and then wall jump back onto the side of the snake block to activate the gravity field. And then from here, I can just hold up, long jump, spin, and enter the launch star. And now this last part's really simple. Just kind of head over here and hit the switch. I think I can get a low 227 for World 5, which honestly isn't that bad. That's only like a minute behind my PB. Okay, so we only have one star left before we get to head on to the boss level of World 5. And that's actually going to be Shiverburn's Comet, which is another pretty interesting star in my opinion. Because this is another romp star where you get to have a rainbow power-up, and this time you get to kill a bunch of those Octoomba enemies. So, you might be wondering if it's faster to skate or run with the rainbow star. The answer is neither. Both are around the same speed. It's easier to turn while running, though. So what I'm going to do is, as soon as I grab the rainbow star, I'm going to skate to build up the momentum, and then jump out of the skating animation and just start running. See how this goes. I'm going to try to do this on just one rainbow star. Although, if I don't have to do this on one rainbow star, then that's fine. It literally only wastes a couple seconds to go out of your way to get another one. Perfect. And of course I'm really far away from the star. So now we're going to be heading on to the boss level, which is Bowser Jr.'s Boom Bunker. This level, I don't really have a fond history with, and it has one of the elements of this game that I really don't like, and that's cannon shots. So cannon shots are pointer-based in this game, unlike Super Mario 64, where you got to just, move the control stick around. And that makes them a lot more difficult. So this is pretty much the only, I guess you could say, motion control-based level in the game. Because you don't do any Fluzzard stages in any percent, nor do you do any of the rolling ball stages, so... Which is a nice thing about the any percent route in this game, honestly. It's basically all skill in terms of platforming. You don't have to do too much with your Wii remote, aside from spin every now and then. But the cannon shots in this level are really, really precise. You have very small targets to aim at, and if you miss them, you're basically dead. So hopefully they go well. But first, though, we have to load this gold hill over here to break this glass and unlock this cannon. I think that might be fine. Yeah, we're fine. So you have to aim that first shot at that Boomerang Bro's face, and that kills it automatically, and then from there you can just kill this other Boomerang Bro. Alright, hopefully that didn't throw off my cycles. Okay, that might throw off my cycles. Alright, that's fine. So yeah, I aim it around the Cloud Flower, and then wait until the platform moves out from underneath it, and then I fire. And that lines it up perfectly. And then from here I can just go straight to this ground in the middle. I'm gonna go for a frame perfect ground pound here. Alright, I got it. It's harder to do a frame perfect ground pound with Cloud Mario because if you miss it, you just make a cloud. And that can waste some time. Alright, so here's Boomsday. This boss is notorious for either making you or itself look like a complete joke. So hopefully I can make it look like a joke. But this is another boss that's pretty easy until you make a mistake. So we're gonna hope that this goes well. I'm gonna be going for frame perfect ground pounds on these first few hits. That time I was too early. So now here's the second phase, and this is the phase where I really don't want to mess up here, otherwise I can lose a lot of time. Okay, we're good. Nothing to worry about. And that's the end of World 5. Or that's going to mark the end of it. Okay, so now we're going to head on to the really long part of the run. So the last part is World 6, so this is the final world in the game. On average, World 6 is around 40 minutes. So we get a lot of stars, a lot of pretty long stars in this run. We also go back and clear up some more comments. And the final split of this run is 8 minutes long. So that's most of the thing. Sally Mats. No, I just don't like interacting with chat during marathon runs, that's all. I have chat open and I am looking at it, but I just don't interact with chat during marathon runs. It's not something I prefer to do. It's just preference. It's nothing against the chatters or anything, I just don't like it. Okay, so now, right off the bat, we've got one of my least favorite stars into the game. So, time for Melty Monster 1. This is a very, very tough star to do optimally. There's nothing really specifically difficult about it, it's just tough to do everything all in one go without screwing anything up. See, these tornadoes on this planet here, they're on global cycles from the moment you enter the stage. So I have to pretty much play it perfectly to get the optimal cycle, and missing it is a pretty big time loss. And also, if I do this optimally, I get no checkpoints. So dying is pretty... Actually, I get 1 checkpoint, but still, dying is really bad. So there's some pretty cool movement here. I use that checkpoint to kind of give me a boost. And then we can skip these poles just by lava boosting. It's funny, this level's called Melting Monster Galaxy, but this is the only level with monsters or lava. Alright, so we made the tornado cycle, we're good. But we're not out of the woods quite yet, because this last section of the level is just beautiful. So every single one of these tiny planets has their own gravitational pull, and they're all really, really tiny. Okay, so that long jump is pretty cool. You use it to kind of skip those first few planets. So hopefully this last part goes well. This crystal is really hard to break. Okay, I'm just gonna wait for this now to go my way. That was a really good Melting Monster one. So yeah, no, those planets are notorious for just being so bad. They are so awkward to navigate. Alright, 133 is a really good time on that star for me. Okay, so this is the only 3-star galaxy in SMT2 90% where I'm actually going to be able to collect all 3 stars from it in one sitting, and so that's exactly what I'm going to do here. And the reason why I collected Melty Monster 1 first is just so that the tornado cycles were a little better and a lot faster. Because now I'm going to be collecting Melty Monster's Secret Star, which is going to be another chimp challenge. But this is a different chimp challenge. It's going to be kind of a bowling minigame with Rock Mario. And I believe this will be the second to last time we see Rock Mario in the run, with the last being Melty Monster 2. This one, you don't nearly have as big of a margin to select points from, so I'm not going to do a points guessing minigame. But basically, there's 56 pins total, although 3 of them I plan on skipping, and I need to hit 50 of them. It's not terribly difficult. However, there is a strat you can go for on these that is terrible, and I'm not even going to attempt it. It involves doing a spin jump onto these ramps, jumping at the very edge of the ramp, because the ramp effect is cancelled when you do a spin jump onto it, and then performing what's called a mid-air rock jump between each of the platforms to skip the ramp entirely. And then once you land on the other side, you keep rolling without stopping, as I am here. And you can save a lot of time on this star, but the reason why you don't go for it is because the mid-air rock jump involves doing a spin and a jump in mid-air as Rock Mario, I believe, on the same frame. And missing it is death, so don't miss it. Alright,
I don't think it's on the same frame. I think it's a little bit different based on which one it is. I mean, basically you can do it infinite amount of times. You can actually like just continue to increase your height with the Rock Mario.
Yeah, and in addition, there's actually a star that you can do a huge skip on with Rock Mario by doing like 8 or 9 mid-air rock jumps in a row, and it would theoretically be fast enough for any percent, but no, it is not RTA viable. It's been pulled off by humans before, but there's no way it's going to be integrated into RTA, at least for a really long time.
I mean, doing a multiple extra jumps with the rock is actually like very specific inputs, and it's just not humanly possible to do consistently right now.
Yeah. So now here's the last time we're going to be seeing Rock Mario. So the thing is, once you take these ramps, it kind of becomes an auto-scroller because you can't actually stop, which isn't a huge deal. Yeah, this star is basically just rolling with Rock Mario. There's not a whole lot to say about it. I'm going to try to show off a mid-air rock jump here. This is completely pointless. Alright, I kind of got it there. You kind of saw it. I think I did it better on Portable 1, maybe. I don't remember. Alright, so... This is a level you can farm star bits on, by the way, but I'm going to try to avoid them as best as I can. There is a small skip I'm going to go for at the end here that's a little precise, but I'll try it a couple times. So I'm going to try to focus here. No! Dang it. I'm really embarrassed that I missed that. Okay, I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to take my earbuds out for this because I think I'm going to focus better if I do. So you kind of see what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to skip across that corner. It's called, I call it zigzag skip. I'm going to go for it again just to see if I can get it. There we go. That was unfortunate. That's a pretty big time loss, but at least I got it second try and I still got to show it off. I've been making a lot of questionable mistakes this run.
That skip is actually safer to do as well than doing the normal strats if you can do it consistently, because bouncing into the walls can actually grease instead of the other direction, and just like instantly shoot you off the stage and kill you.
For no reason.
Yeah.
Alright. So now it's time for Clockwork Ruins. This might seem like a stupid level to go to because the stars here are kind of long, but the secret star is not that slow of a star, because I have to collect 30 coins in this first section to feed a Hungry Luma. But once I do that, the star is basically done. So, just as long as you don't die, you should be good on this star. I don't know why I didn't spin there. Alright, so right here I'm going to look in first person mode for a little bit, just to kind of advance the cycles of the platform up ahead. So yeah, if you die on this star, the cycles are really bad and not as fast as you would want them to be. Probably no long clip on here, just to be a safe side. I just need 10 from this coin block, and with the way my route works for this level, I only have to get 1 coin from this area. And I can just jump down here and keep the limit of the coins. That was really clean. Alright, and now I can do a skip on this final planet where I literally it's just a triple jump wall right through the star. Again, easier than doing the levels intended. So yeah, that star's like a minute and a half if done optimally, so definitely a good star. Alright, so we're done with that, and now it's time to move on to one of the cooler galaxies in this game. So this might look a little familiar to you. So how many people in the chat have played Super Mario 64? How many of you guys out there? Because now you can make memes about this. So this is Throwback Galaxy. This is kind of Whomp's Fortress from Super Mario 64. In other words, I'm about to be doing my best Chizo 5 impersonation. This is kind of based off the first star from the original Whomp's Fortress, and the comet medal in this galaxy is actually where the Shoot Into the Wild Blue star was in SM64. It's right over there, which is a very nice reference. Yeah, for the most part, this isn't nearly as flashy looking as SM64. I'm gonna do a cool strat here. Okay, I thought that wasn't gonna work, and then it kind of started to, but then it just didn't. Alright. So I was trying to get a little interesting ledge grab pop up into the star. Into the condo platform. Alright. Also, anybody who knows me knows that I do not have fond memories of this star. I was once on a 305 pace in a relay race, and I killed it to dying to this King Womp boss fight twice without grabbing the checkpoint. So we're gonna hope that that doesn't happen here. This fight isn't that hard, though, so I'm not too worried about it. You can't do the ground pound trick like you can in SM64, though. These Wimple enemies, the small Womps, are so bad. Because they just knock you all over the place. And also, King Womp kind of jumps around, and as soon as he slams into the ground, he kind of stuns you if you're on the ground. So that's why I'm jumping, is so that I don't have to worry about this. Alright, so I backflipped a little early there so they wouldn't hit me. So he actually has the same dialogue as he does in SM64 too, which is also really cool. Alright, decent throwback one. Nothing, aside from getting up to the comet medal, nothing terrible happened. That's a nice throwback star. Get it? I'm funny. Fun fact, I'm also a very good Super Mario 64 runner. Check me out sometime. Opie opie. Okay, so now we're going to be adding on to doing Throwback 2. Throwback is a pretty fast galaxy in general, especially Throwback 2 and Comet. Throwback 2 is a Silver Stars mission, and you would think that Nintendo would be even better with their references to SM64 when they would place the Silver Stars in, like, red coin positions and whatnot. That would be cool. But no, they just threw them random locations and gave you Cloud Mario. Kind of pathetic if you ask me. But the star is really cool movement, so that kind of makes up for it. Especially in the speedrun. I'm going to go for a bounce off this bottom buddy here. I want to be holding A when I do that bounce, just so I get a little bit more height. I'm going to let this platform move out. Here I'm going to be once again long jumping over a pit as Cloud Mario, which will give me a lot of momentum. That last part's awesome. And just ground pound into the star, because the thing with ground pounds in this game is that they send you to the ground really fast. And so I use them basically anytime I want to descend to a lower level really quickly. Okay, so now we have the final Hungry Luma Galaxy of the run. So this is Flash Black. So this is kind of a funny thing. So the reason why I'm going to go to Flash Black is because the top route would involve me going through this galaxy called Battle Belt. Battle Belt sucks. Well, okay, it doesn't really suck, but it's just really slow, really boring, really difficult in some instances. As the worst boss in the game by far, that thankfully we don't have to fight at 90%. And it's just not a cool level to do in a speedrun, so Flash Black is a pretty fast level, and so we just go ahead and unlock it, because we can. In my non-banked Toad route, Flash Black is actually one of the galaxies you get star bits to unlock, just because why do you want to do Battle Belt 90%? Especially as Mario. So this Galaxy's gimmick is that the lights flash on and off to the rhythm of the song. But since I already know what the layout of this level looks like, I don't have to worry about that. I'm also going to be collecting some star bits in case I need to shoot them at a Goomba at the end of this first section. And we get to use the Blink Fruit and Yoshi for the first part of the star. So the first part of the star is pretty basic. Gotta make sure I don't get hit by those Goombas, because I'll get knocked off of Yoshi and that would be bad. That was weird. I'm gonna go for some cool movement here. Oh, Yoshi didn't stay. So yeah. If Yoshi had stayed, what I would have done is I would have gotten back on him, bounced off the Jacko Goomba, and then dismounted off of Yoshi and went right for the Lone Star. And that would have been really awesome looking. But alas. So this last part's really simple. You just go from Silver Star to Silver Star. I'm gonna wait here. I'm just stopping for a little bad cycle. Okay. I'm really happy. I went a little early there. So I was kind of scared there for a moment. I had to hold my breath. The amount of times I've died to this star on a good pace is just sad. Alright. We're alright though. Okay, so time for the most entertaining star of the run. And by that I mean Slimy Spring. So, yeah, Slimy Spring is a pretty slow, and it's a 2-minute long stage that basically revolves around using the shell. It's another one of those break stages you get in the run, but it also is kind of boring. And honestly, the hardest part of this level is not falling asleep. Luckily, I'm pretty awake right now, so I shouldn't have to worry about that. Hello? I heard someone join, so cool.
Sorry, do you have time for one more donation, or are you doing something you have to explain?
This star is boring, so go right ahead.
Alright, because some person named, I don't know them, I'm gonna pronounce this wrong and I'm so sorry, some person named Pato?
Oh, that's my co-commentator.
Hello? No, I'm joking, but you donated $5 saying, let's do it, donation incentive, the perfect run. So, I don't know. Maybe if we have time we could see it? I don't know, that's up to Deathline, really.
Yeah.
But, no, thanks for the $5 donation. We appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, shouts to Vital being a former world record contender.
Yeah, he's a really cool dude.
And now I'm basically a world record contender, kind of, sort of. How does that feel to you, Vital?
What do you mean?
That you used to be a former world record contender and now you're co-commentating for a marathon run of the guy who's 3rd place.
I mean, if I would have continued playing this game, I would have.
Kinda
No, I mean, it's always no. I mean, it's always like game, and you stop playing the game, people are gonna step up and like beat you. I think I'm like.
You're like
Last year.
You're like 8th now, I think.
Sorry?
And you used to be 2nd.
Yeah.
Alright, cool strat incoming. Whoa! That was so cool, except it's actually really easy. Okay, so that's the last main star we're going to be collecting of the run before we do Bowser's Galaxy Generator, because the last 6 stars we're going to be doing are basically all comets. I'm going to be collecting 3. I'm going to be collecting 2 from World 3, 2 from World 4, and 2 from World 6. And I have all the comet medals, so we're good. Yeah, typically if you know the any percent route really well, you're not going to miss any comet medals. So I'm going to be heading back to do Honey Hall's Comet. This is the buffer star to have enough room to unlock Deep Block Comet and Gravity Gauntlet Comet, just because of the way comets spawn. It's really complicated to explain, but basically, just because of the way routing works, it's better, you have to do this star now, even though you could have done it way earlier in the run. Okay. And this is basically the last part of Honey Halls 2, just with Cosmic Clones, and it's still a bunch of long jumps. Nothing really has changed, although the camera angle for this first section is a little bit different for some reason. Kind of wait here so I don't risk long jumping and not being able to land. You can bounce on those guys who are eating the carpet, by the way, just so you know. I don't necessarily have to avoid them. Alright, breaking crystals like that is weird. Sometimes the delay between spins doesn't allow you to get the second hit right away. Alright, and now we're gonna get to kind of the hard endgame parts of the run. This is where the run starts to become a little bit chokeable. Deep Block Comet is actually really not that hard, but the funny thing about this star is that the game lies to you about it. So it says the silver stars are moving in double time, but in actuality, they're moving 4 times as fast, because in the first star, they would transition every 8 beats of the song, and on this song, it's every other beat. And since 8 divided by 2 is 4, well, there you go. There, I just proved that I'm good at math. Thankfully, though, that means that the star isn't nearly as cycle-based. You don't have to worry too much about it. So, I mean, obviously you want to be as fast as possible, but it doesn't really matter if you don't make a fast cycle or not. Also, for some reason in this level, you get Yoshi, so that's cool. It is infinite flutter. Alright, I'm kind of have a weird angle here. I'm actually going to skip the checkpoint, because I'm a daredevil. The movement here is really cool, especially this last part. Alright. Nothing tragic happened there. Okay. Here we go. This is the run ender star for me. So I'm about to do Gravity Gauntlet's Comet. So here's the thing with Gravity Gauntlet Comet. I'm going to be doing a faster skip on this star than this behind the castle skip that I did in Gravity Gauntlet 1. I don't know if you can hear that, by the way, but that is a garage. And so, how to explain this skip is when you hit a lava wall in this game, and then land in the lava again, you get a ridiculous amount of horizontal momentum. And so I can use that to do a skip that's around 10 seconds faster than the Gravity Gauntlet 1 skip. But it's really, really random in how it works sometimes. And so, we're going to hope that I get this within a couple tries. I'm not that consistent at it, so I'm actually going to take my... I don't think I should take my earbuds off. I'll just try and focus here. Basically, I have to do specific inputs in the air as I'm falling in order to land where I want to land. And world record actually dies on this star with this skip. Alright, we're good. I got it first try. That's really awesome. So I kind of landed in a okay-ish spot. But yeah, that requires switching from right to left to up left at very specific intervals during the fall. And also, if you land too far left on the platform, or if you land too far, just in a bad spot in general, then it's possible to fall through the floor after landing. So thankfully that didn't happen. So I'm really happy I got that first try. That is really scary skip and runs. That was also the 4th gold I've gotten this run. So that was a really well executed star. Alright, and now we have some very easy and free stars, basically, to end off the run. So here's Starshine Beach comment, and unlike what you'd expect, this is actually just get on Dash Yoshi, eat a Dash Pepper, and just collect purple coins rather than search the entire beach for purple coins. So let's see how this goes. And you have way more than 100 purple coins, so this star is, there's basically no way you can fail it unless you intentionally go out of your way to miss a bunch of purple coins or something. If I don't miss that many purple coins, though, I might be able to go for a small time saver here. Alright, I'm gonna go for it. I'm just gonna go off to the right here and go past that tower, which can save a couple seconds. Pretty easy star compared to the star I just did. Double gold. Jeez. Alright, so now we just have the 2 comets to get from World 6. The first one going to be Throwback Comet. So here's the funny thing about Throwback Comet. It's basically the exact same as Throwback 2, you're just on a timer, and even the speed tech is basically the same. The only major differences, or at least the only noticeable differences, are a couple of cycle differences at the start, but because the camera during the level cutscene shows different elements of it, it shows different parts of the stage, and so different moving objects will start moving at different times. But other than that, it's basically just going to be the exact same star. So if you want to like plug to the charity or something while I'm doing this star, that's a good thing to do. Alright, I can find something else to talk about. Yeah, this is the cycle that's a lot harder to make. Just getting past that guy. Alright, sometimes I'm too early for that cloud, and I have to go out of my way to get another cloud in order to get that silver star, and that can waste a bunch of time. Pretty decent throwback comment all around. And boom, boom. Alright, time for the final star of the run. And this has in my opinion, a really cool star to end off this run, because it involves a skill no other star in this run requires you to have, and that's multitasking. So, there's 3 ways you can kill the enemies in this next star. It's another romp star. You can either spin attack them, shoot them with star bits and then kick them, or jump on them. Most of the time I'm going to be shooting them with star bits and then kicking them. And so this star requires me to be able to focus on the pointer, collecting star bits, my star bit counter, aiming star bits at enemies, shooting them, and throughout all of that I have to be able to control Mario. So this is a very technical star. It's also really satisfying to pull off fast. There we go. So yeah, the reason why this star can be so tricky is because sometimes if you try to aim a star at one of these guys and you miss, then when you try to kick them, you just kind of run into them like that, which is what happened there. Okay, I cannot long jump for some reason. Yeah, the window for long jumping is pretty tight. Okay, I'm a little scared here. And I get Yoshi at the end here, so, okay. No! That's such an easy mistake to make. That's really embarrassing, so... That's really unfortunate. So, I got hit by an enemy there. That was really dumb. It's okay, though. It just gives me a chance to hone these enemies again. Alright, I almost made the same mistake. I almost died again. Alright, so yeah. Alright, don't get hit. That was a weird spot to jump from. Okay, that was unfortunate. So, assuming I get a really good Galaxy Generator, I can still get a 308. But I can otherwise get a 309. So coming up is probably the hardest skip in the run. Saves a lot of time, but that's a tough one, man. I got it! Yay! Alright. So that's called Purple Idiot Skip. Basically on the space right before Galaxy Generator, there's supposed to be a cutscene, but by clicking on the Galaxy Generator space with the Wii Remote instead of moving there with the nunchuck, you just skip that entire cutscene. It saves like 35 seconds. It was found by Oddme Order in like 2015. So it's like the freest 35 seconds you'll ever save. Alright, so here we go. Bowser's Galaxy Generator. So this is another really, really cool Bowser boss level. Alright, I'm gonna have to kill a Hammer Bro at the start of this section here. For a coin. Because I'm gonna be doing another lava boost here. Like that. So I'm going to intentionally lose the spin drill here because I want to be able to long jump. And also if I need to, I want to be able to spin after jumping. This next planet can be a little awkward. Depending on what type of cycles you get at the start here, and depending on how the cloud section decides to behave. Section. These bolt bells can be irritating sometimes. So coming up is, in my opinion, the coolest Infinite Flutter in SMT2 any%. Basically, as soon as I get on Yoshi at the start of this section, I'm just going to Infinite Flutter straight to the end of the level. And it just looks really cool, and it's really satisfying to pull off. Especially because I'm going to go for the optimal method of it. On this top shelf. I have to be really careful with my height here. If I go too high, I'll soft walk and I'll have to leave the level. I think that should be good. Alright, I just made top shelf. So that saves a couple extra seconds over just doing the flutter normally. Requires a very good initial height and a really late dismount. And that just basically skips a bunch of auto-scrollers and this really long Yoshi section. And with that, I am on to the final Bowser fight. Okay, so now we have the final fight, which is pretty similar to the fight from Gravity Gauntlet, except Bowser's gonna drop 3 meteors instead of 2, and he's a lot faster to pull out his punches in this fight. So, once again, I'm just gonna hope I don't miss hits. And I'm once again going to go for a punch cancel on this first hit. I think it's a bit more significant on this phase, in this fight, just because, again, Bowser's a lot quicker to pull out his punches in this fight. So I kind of have to go around a little bit before I can hit the meter, but that's fine because I needed to wait anyways. And that actually saved me time. And a missed hit is around 20 seconds lost, by the way. Okay, so on this third and fourth hits, Bowser's insanely fast to pull out his punches. So a missed hit is not uncommon here. Especially for me, because you know I'm bad. Alright, that went well. And I don't have to worry about star bits or coins on this star because this is the final star of the run. And timing will stop as soon as I touch the star. Uh-oh. 1 HP, very encouraging. There we go. That's the final hit. Alright, by the way, time's coming up pretty soon. Time's not actually coming up soon, by the way. Don't actually stop the timer. I'm just faking it. But yeah, if I can just get to this star, we'll be good to go. We're almost there. Got a couple of long jumps, and he's back! Plot twist. Insane. Anyway, so this fight is ridiculously easy. Because, literally it's just press A and Z 4 times and you win. And this first hit, if I just wait until the meteor spawns and then press Z, I get the first hit for free. The other ones I actually do have to aim, but Bowser's one attack drops a coin, so it's literally impossible to die in this fight. And also, this music is so epic, but you never get to hear it. You never get to hear all of it in even just casually playing, I'm sure you don't ever get to hear it in its full entirety. There we go. Alright, so time is going to be actually coming up. I just have a cutscene to go through, and then one more long jump, and that'll be it. Alright, unfortunately I did not meet my goal of sub 30812, which is sub Value's AGDQ run. But I think I'm still going to get a 308, which is awesome. Or, it's better than my first practice run, and it's sub 3 times, so I guess I can't complain about it too much. Really upset with a couple of the mistakes I made, though. This would have been a pretty solid run if it weren't for some really big deaths. But anyways, time's going to be when I touch this big star, so get ready for time. And time. Alright, so my timer says 3:08:54. Oh, man.
Good run, dude. Great job.
Thank you. Thanks, Patal, for being on co-commentary. That was really helpful. Alright, so if Deathline will allow it, there is something else I could do. go ahead and ask in the Discord. So just kind of go through these credits. I guess I can give some shout-outs while I'm waiting before I go off. Shout-outs to Valu111, the current world record holder for almost all RTA categories, both Galaxy 1 and 2. Nemi43, second place time, has really sick ILs on his YouTube channel. Definitely check them out. How to Cantaloupe is currently the 4th place time. I have the 3rd place time. He's also really good at Galaxy 2 and also the other 3D Marios as well. The Sledgy Gamer, very good runner of Galaxy 1 and also pretty well versed in Galaxy 2, although he hasn't played it in a while. Alright. So yeah, I think... Alright. So, while I have the opportunity, I guess I can show off something. So, I'm going to show off the 242nd star of the run now, which we weren't actually planning on doing. So this is the perfect run. This is the star you would get after getting all 120 normal stars and green stars, and then beating Grandmaster 1, getting the Comet Medal in Grandmaster, and then getting 9,999 star bits in the Bang Toad on a New Game Plus file, or on a New Game file. So, there we go. You don't need a timer for this one, just... there's an in-game timer anyways, so... I'm playing as Luigi for this, just for the sake of showing them all. So I need to skip these cutscenes here, because if I don't, then these green enemies that you see right here are on terrible, terrible cycles. There are infinite flutter strats you can do in this first section, but I don't know how to do them, so I'm just going to stick to what I know. If you need consistent strats for the perfect run, just watch this and you'll be fine. Alright, so I'm going to keep Yoshi through that first section because, again, Yoshi walks a lot faster than both Mario and Luigi, and so that'll make this section really easy. So yeah, I'm trying to kind of go... Wow, I got that twice. Okay, whatever. I still made it. I'm gonna ditch Yoshi into this launch star because I have to ditch him at the start of this section anyways. At the start of this section anyways. Ooh, don't die. Pressure. Alright, so now I have Cloud Mario here. I mean Cloud Luigi. Sorry, I'm so used to playing as Mario. So yeah, in case you don't know, this is a Daredevil Comet. So I basically can't get hit. And there's also no checkpoint, so if I do get hit, I have to go all the way back to the beginning of the stage. I want to end this section with 2 clouds, no more, no less. I can get through this a little bit easier. Alright, now in this section I'm going to take advantage of how a Polestar's momentum works. And... basically... I'm going to let go of I'm going to grab a Polestar from below and then let go of it before I reach its center, which gives me a lot of height and allows me to just clear these lasers. And there you go. And And now this is the final section, which a lot of people deem to be the hardest section. But the method I have for you is pretty decent. So you only have to kill the 3 Boomerang Bros at the end of this section, but I'm going to be killing a couple Hammer Bros just to make my life a little easier. So I'm going to kill this guy. And I'm going to kill that Hammer Bro so that he doesn't get in the way. And then I'm going to kill these 3 Boomerang Bros. So you can crouch underneath the Boomerangs if you want to, but nah. I don't need to do that. Uh-oh. Okay. I'm fine. And I can just kill this guy with a single... Ooh, that was risky. Alright, we're good. First try, perfect run. Easy every time. Easy every time. Alright, so before I grab the star, fun fact, there was a 1 up here. And there you go, that's the perfect run. So that's my showcase of Super Mario Galaxy 2. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. This is my last run of the marathon, so hope you enjoyed that, and hope you enjoy the rest of the marathon. Yeah.
Great job. Thank you for the run, my dude.
Thank you, Vital, for helping with commentary as always, and see you all. Well, I'll just kind of wait here, I guess.